Mic check. We're back. I missed you guys. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I almost said Monday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Good to see you. Good to be here. Missed you all so much. Two whole shows we didn't see you, and that was devastating. So it's good to see you guys. We have a lot to catch up on. I saw that in the chat. We do, and I don't think we're going to get to all of it today. So I'm going to just have to play catch up all week. We may go a little longer than normal each day to try and catch up. But thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for the continued support, and thank you for staying in America and not running away. It would be easy at this point to run away. Let's see. You please use a keyframe. I gotta switch something. I've got a bad stream health. How do I change that? Let me change the stream settings real quick. Does the stream look okay for you guys? Change that. Does it look good on YouTube? I'm getting this from YouTube. You guys getting any problems for you guys over on YouTube? You okay on YouTube? Welcome back, people. Weird. I had to refresh on YouTube to get start. Strong stream, solid prostate. Looks good. Okay, cool. We'll get going. It wouldn't be our stream if we didn't have a bunch of questions before we got started. Those of you telling me you hope I had fun golfing, I didn't actually golf. I forgot. I was wondering why you guys were saying that. I did not go golfing. What actually happened is it was my mom's 60th birthday, and she watches this show. And so if some of you might remember last week at some point I said, I'm going to Oregon this weekend, and then I went, oh, shit. It's because she watches this show, and it was a surprise party. So on the day that I was leaving, which was Friday morning, I had Jen put up a post saying I was going golfing. That was entirely to throw her off, and it worked. Fortunately for me, she was preoccupied last week. She didn't see every show, at least to my knowledge. She might still be lying. Maybe she did know. But to my knowledge, she was not aware I was coming. So I didn't actually golf. I didn't golf at all this weekend. I did, however, walk a lot. I was in Seaside, Oregon, which was awesome. Food was great. Drinks were cold. Weather was cold. I spent some time with my family, and we drank a lot. We smoked a lot. We ate great food. Both my, I guess, like brother-in-law and I don't know. The other guy has kids with my sister. I don't think they're ever going to get married, so whatever you want to call that. They made great food, and I did almost nothing, so it was great. I just had a good weekend. And then I got back to the airport on yesterday morning, and I started going through Twitter, and I was like, oh, no. Oh, we had a big weekend while I was gone. I didn't watch anything for like 2 days. I didn't keep up with any news. The only thing I watched at all was the Masters. And so, yeah, we got some catching up to do. Swish says, welcome back, Double Daddy. Missed you. How dare you? I apologize. Asa Sophia says, missed you deeply. Now listening to this good voice at work before I head out for my birthday dinner. Care to sing for me? Yeah, absolutely. I'll send it privately. Remind me, Asa Sophia, send me a message. I'll do it privately on Discord. Shoot me a message. Charles said, I hope you had a great weekend. I did. Thanks, Charles. Tanya said, that was from 5 days ago. Those still come up. So anyways, now that we're into it, we do rely on your generosity for the show to keep going. And Jen did miss a day, so hopefully she still is here and doesn't want to quit. But we do rely on your generosity to make our gift goals every day, which allows us to keep the lights on. So we have Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal, as well as Super Chats. Anything you send me, I'll read. And please don't get my Cash App and PayPal taken down, as we already lost the Venmo. But Kelly is building more prisons. Yeah, I saw that. DM me $50 for a video of Jay singing. Bree's back. Bree's been working. Annoyingly, Bree's been working. Bree, it's good to have you back. Finally. The chat, every like 5 minutes last week in the chat was like, where's Bree? Where's Bree? It made me feel a little self-conscious. I do think that a lot of you are here for Bree and not for me. And I actually kind of understand that. All right, let's jump into it. I'm going to share some personal touching moments from this weekend because I didn't watch the news, but I did witness like men have emotions, and I think it's important. This is a guy named Paddy Pimblett. This isn't from his fight this week, but he did win a fight this weekend against Michael Chandler. He's a Scouser, so he has a crazy accent if you haven't heard Paddy Pimblett speak. But I like Paddy Pimblett, and I just felt like this weekend in sports, at least the sports I watched, two good guys won, and I liked that. First off, here's Paddy Pimblett with a message to the men here, because women generally don't have this same problem of sharing emotions, but here's a message from Paddy Pimblett to the men.
I wanna dedicate this fight to little baby Lee, little warrior. Like, more of a fighter than any of us will ever be. But also, I woke up on Friday morning at 4 a.m. to a message that one of my friends back home had killed himself. This was 5 hours before me weigh-in. So Ricky, lad, that's for you. But there's a stigma in this world that men can't talk. Listen, if you're a man and you've got weight on your shoulders and you think the only way you can solve it is by killing yourself, please speak to someone. Speak to anyone. People would rather, I know I'd rather me mate cry on my shoulder than go to his funeral next week. So please, let's get rid of this stigma and men start talking.
Just want to show that because it had an impact on me when I watched it, and I was happy again for the good guys winning. And please make sure if, it's a weighty time, and economic times are tough. There's a lot of stuff in the news every day that we don't understand, and it can be weighty. And so please make sure you're talking to your friends. Caitlin said, "Please stay, Jen," and Sully said, "Doing as Jen tells me."
Thanks for the sub.
That's beautiful. And Dollar Train. Jen started the Dollar Train today. Thank you guys very much. And then secondly, my favorite golfer, Rory McIlroy, won the Masters. This is a place he has mentally struggled, and I'm sorry for anybody who doesn't like sports. I promise this is the last one today. He has mentally struggled at the Masters and has blown many opportunities to win. We're going to see his last putt here, but what happened with Rory is Rory had like a 2-shot lead going into the day. He blew his lead on the first hole. And then it was just this up and down, up and down. He had about an 8-foot putt to win the Masters on the 18th hole, and he missed it. Wasn't even close. And he had to go back and play the 18th hole again against Justin Rose, who's one of his friends. Ultimately hits a great shot, has this left for the win. But I just want to show, like, men, fucking be emotional. Just do it. Like, I saw TikToks that were hilarious from women, specifically married women, saying like, "My husband has never cried. I walked down the aisle, not a tear. He had a baby, not a tear. My husband never cries. I've been married for 5 years, and the first time I saw him cry was when Rory made this putt." So the message is, one, Rory's a good guy, a really good guy. I really like Rory. And two, just cry more. Because it shocked so many people when Rory McIlroy cried and made other men cry. That I think men, we probably need to cry a little bit more. We probably need to do that more so it's not so shocking. But here, so you can watch this.
The long journey is over. McIlroy has his masterpiece.
Holding that reaction in since 2014.
And also, men, be this guy. This is Justin Rose. He's an Englishman. These two have been on the Ryder Cups together. He was, I think, his captain in the Ryder Cup. They're good friends. This guy just lost. One of the most important, like every golfer wants to win a Masters. This guy now has lost in a playoff twice. Johnny said, "I have nobody. Some of us don't have people to cry with. We need to be able to cry with each other too. As great as this is, also be this guy. be this guy and let people cry and tell them how great it is that they're crying. I swear to God, I was in a bar when this happened. It went absolutely quiet. It was a loud bar, and we were loud. My family's loud, and my brother and my mom's boyfriend were in the midst of a video game argument, and it just ended, and the whole bar went quiet. Be this guy too.
He's there to console his friend who he admires so much.
Justin's a good man.
He is incredible. Pure class.
But just be that guy. That's the guy we want to be. I held it together. Then he hugged his daughter, and he cried while holding his daughter. And she was like, "I don't get it." She was like, "Get away from me, dude. There's all this loud noise. I don't even like golf." And then I was like, "That's my daughter." My daughter would also, I'd also squish her, and she would just be like, "I don't get it, Dad." Solely good advice. Please dial 988 if you need to talk to someone immediately. Reach out to family, friends, and neighbors just to check in. A smile or a hi can change someone's day or life. I love you all. Purple Kitty sent for the dollar train, and Johnny. Looks like shout out to some of you dudes here in the chat reaching out to Johnny. I love it. Put each other together. All right. I'm going to take a few more personal clips, and again, I'm sorry. I know we have a lot of news to cover, but I'm going to cover some of the stuff that matters to me. Megan said, "Not a huge sports watcher, but this was an amazing way to open the show. Love it. Thank you." I thought it was going to go poorly. I'm glad you guys liked that. That's good. All right. My good friend Lori Vallow is on trial again. For those of you who are new to this channel, or if you don't know who Lori Vallow is, that's fine too. Lori Vallow is a crazy lady that I knew, and she tried to kill one of my friends. She wound up killing her kids, her husband, and her new boyfriend's husband, and thought she could get away with it with like religious imagery. And that's kind of how she hid behind her crimes for so long. Like her kids were missing for like a year, and she was just walking around free. She just like, "Oh, you'll figure it out." She's able to hide behind her religion for a long time. She's been convicted in the murder of her own 2 children and her boyfriend's, or I guess her new husband's ex-wife, or not ex-wife, wife's widow. So she's already got life in prison, and now she's here in Arizona facing charges of killing her husband. And I think she'll face charges for attempted murder on my friend as well. I need to reach out to him and ask him what they're doing this. But she has decided, yeah, I know her well. I knew Tyler. I'm not well. I've met her a handful of times. I met Charles a handful of times. I met Tylee. I met JJ. The friend of mine, he was my business partner, so he was, and their family is very close. Her niece is my friend's ex-wife. Anyways, so Lori has decided to be her own lawyer. I don't know why. She's not that bright, but she's decided to be her own lawyer. And as awful as this is, watching this trial is fucking unbelievable. So this is Lori here, and this is somebody named Kay Woodcock. Kay Woodcock is Lori's now deceased husband's sister. And she used to be the guardian of JJ, who was an autistic child that Lori and her late husband adopted, and then Lori and her brother wound up killing. And here she is questioning Kay Woodcock. Is this the right one? Yeah, it is. And here was the cross-examination, and I just like watching Lori get put in her place. So I'll let you guys see a couple clips.
Did you see or hear or personally witness me conspire with Alex Cox to kill my husband, Charles Vallow?
No, but I saw a ton of evidence that did.
Thank you. No further questions.
Damn!
They're getting the judges running there. I love Kay. Kay is a sweetheart. This was my favorite part of the trial so far. This lady's name is Nancy Jo Hancock. No, excuse me. This is the wrong order. This is now Lori questioning her own brother. His name is Adam. And Adam is the only person in the family who thought that Lori and her brother were evil and was worried, and he was trying with Charles, her late husband, to like have an intervention, and then they killed Charles. But this just gives you an idea of how crazy Lori is, and this made my heart warm during this part.
And when was the last time we had any communications?
The last time I remember our communications was you and I were speaking in the kitchen when the family was over.
Okay, so you think that was that time in 2018?
I think so.
Okay. And were we eating my green chili chicken enchiladas?
Do not remember that.
You can't see it there. You can kind of hear it. She smirks and she goes, so she asked if you were eating our green chicken enchiladas. There's a little.
You do not remember that?
Nope.
Is that what I made every time we had a family get together, which was like 10 times a year?
I don't remember that.
Okay. And when was the last time that we had a phone call or text message?
I have no idea.
Could it possibly be around that exact same time?
Possibly.
Okay. So that was possibly in early 2018?
Yes.
Okay. Who do you think initiated the final communication in our relationship?
Who concluded it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's using all of her time to be petty. She's mad that he didn't remember that she makes green chicken chili enchiladas. She's mad that he stopped texting her. She's on trial for murder, and she's using her time to cross-examine friends and family on like petty family arguments, which has been incredible. She's going to lose so fast. But I just wanted to show a couple of these clips. This was my favorite. Here's the walk-off. This lady's name is Nancy Jo Hancock. She went on a date with Charles, the deceased, the night before her brother killed Charles Vallow. And Lori Vallow's not taking it well. For somebody who has killed at least one husband, there's a lot of talk that she might have killed other husbands too. There's some weird stuff that happened with one of her sisters. She's been accused of like poisoning people's food over and over again. So it's odd that like a person like this who's accused of murder, convicted of 3, and now is on trial for another murder of her husband, was upset that her husband, who she had thrown out of the house because she said he was possessed by a demon named Ned. That's not a joke. They started calling him Ned, and they felt like they had the right to kill him because he was possessed by a demon named Ned. She is now questioning Nancy Jo Hancock, who had the audacity to go out on a date with Charles, even though he was in the process of a divorce the night before he was murdered. And Nancy Jo Hancock wins MVP of this entire trial.
So you spent your whole date getting to know each other, talking about me.
Don't flatter yourself. No, we did not spend the whole time talking about you.
You knew a lot about me, right?
I knew what I've testified to.
Yeah, I like that. At the end of that, and I can't find the clip anywhere, so I'll just tell you that at the end of that testimony, she says, Lori tries to like be a dick, and she's like, so he went on one date with you and just never called you back? And she says, yeah, because you killed him. Something along that. Crazy trial. Watch it. I laugh because that's how I deal with pain. It was a terrible time in my life, driving around a friend with loaded guns in the car, not knowing what would happen. My friend was traveling all across the country using all of our friends' names. Like we had to hide him everywhere. So he took our credit cards, and he was moving around the country over and over again so that she and her crazy people couldn't find him and his kids. But the trial is actually entertaining. There's a show on Netflix about her. I think it's something about, I don't remember. Somebody can tell you in the chat. There's a Netflix documentary about her too. Bean says healthy masculinity is so hot. Thank you. All right. A little more petty here. JD Vance. One more headline. Just because JD Vance, a lot of people think JD Vance is going to be president. He's not. JD Vance is fucking weird all the time. He's uncomfortable all the time. And he wants to be cool so bad. And he's not. And then he goes on Twitter and tries to be cool some more, and he's not. Here's JD Vance doing exactly what you think JD Vance would do. You had Ohio State visiting the White House to celebrate their national championship, and JD Vance is a stumbling buffoon. Sins of the mother, that's what it's called. He's such an idiot. Puts it back down. I can't do this, guys. He's such an idiot. The most fake that's called fake masculinity. That's what we see there. All right. Now we'll move into the show. So I think there's this weird, not weird, but kind of predictable, but I think that there's a faction of Trumpers, of MAGA, of the right wing that understands what's happening right now, and they're not super willing to call out Trump because they're afraid. They're afraid to lose their audience, and they're also maybe afraid of retribution against Trump. But I'm looking at the right-wing landscape. JD Vance is not a better man than me. JD Vance is a bitch. JD Vance is an absolute bitch. He's not a better man than most. I don't know why you would think JD Vance is a good man, by the way. That's crazy. What about JD Vance makes him a good man? He has children. Yeah, so do I. Yeah, I don't think JD Vance is a good man. JD Vance is a chronic liar. Anyways, back to it. So I think you have all these right-wing creators or personalities, big ones, who are setting themselves up for post-Trump. And I think that I want to retract something I said about Cenk because I think Cenk, this is actually what Cenk is seeing. Cenk is seeing that there's going to be this a convergence of ideas between the left and the right on certain things, and he's trying to capitalize on that. Let me give you an example. Here's Tucker Carlson. And Tucker, what he's going to do now is Tucker seems to be doing this thing where he makes a point that if you didn't know who he was talking about, you'd be like, oh, this is about Trump. But he makes the point using somebody that Republicans hate, like Obama. And I think this is his attempt is going to be to save face for the conservatives. I'll show Candace Owens here in a minute too. Both of them are going to try and save face for conservatives by putting out this kind of content, and they'll never really blame Trump for any of it, but they'll say like, oh, this is the direction we're going. So when the MAGA and the Republicans split, he'll say, look, we can have different ideas on this, but this is where we go now. Here is him talking specifically about our relationships in this government with Israel. He's not wrong about what he says here about Obama, by the way. He's not wrong. There's good. I think it's a good guess. I think there's validity to what he's saying here. He's not wrong about what he says about Obama. The reason I showed it is because I'm like, you could say this about Trump right now, but you're not going to. So that's why you're going back to Obama. You need to make this point that for some reason the Israeli government and Mossad seem to have a stranglehold over, and Assad, a stranglehold over our government. And he can't say that about Trump, so he's going to say it about Obama. But I don't think he's wrong here.
Why would Obama want to overthrow Assad?
Because Israel has run American foreign policy in the Middle East for 30 years. That's how it works. We have an Israel lobby. We have this clean break strategy. We have a plan for 7 wars in 5 years. And what's interesting is they actually kind of carry out this madness. They don't.
Sorry, this is Tucker's clip, so sorry for the music. Tucker adds motivational music to all his clips. They'll probably copyright strike it later. So if you're watching this not live, sorry.
Explain any of it to the American people. They don't tell anybody, but you can watch step by step. We've had 6 of those 7 wars. The only one that hasn't happened is Iran. And if you watch every day now, the MSM, the mainstream media, is pushing for U.S. war with Iran. Netanyahu's pushing for war with Iran. They're really trying to get this started to make 7 out of 7.
All right. So you're seeing this with Tucker. Like, Tucker is taking this really measured and frankly correct approach when it comes to foreign policy and the treatment of the Palestinians. he plays like fence sitter, where he asks the question and then just lets the person say what they're going to say, but he's guiding them in that direction. I think it's pretty clear at this point that most people in America are not cool with what Israel's doing. Most people in America aren't cool with the idea that if you criticize Israel, you are now labeled as anti-American. And we'll get to that stuff later. Like, now the Trump administration is starting to say things that make a lot of people question, like, if I talk bad about Israel, am I going to get locked up? Am I going to get deported even as an American citizen? Am I about to lose my rights to talk about Israel? Candace Owens is talking about it now. Oh, did I forget to put it on here? I might have forgot to put it on here. One sec. Let me just go to... I know I saved it. Shit, did I really not save this? There's no... Oh, there it is. This is like a 5-minute clip. And I hate showing Candace Owens, but I also like when the Republicans here in the chat, who are currently telling us that nobody thinks like us, have to now listen to Candace Owens and explain why your people are saying the same thing we're saying. So here's Candace Owens on the this administration. She's a little more aggressive here. She's going to talk about this administration. She's going to talk about how they're silencing speech. And she's going to talk about what that might mean for people. I just kind of agree with Candace Owens here. What I do want to do is I want to make sure at the end of this, when Trump is said, when Trump is gone, and when everybody figures out he's a fucking idiot and this is nonsense what we're doing, that it's only hurting us. And when this all comes crashing down, I do want people to remember that people like Candace Owens take this approach, and then when it all is said and done, she's going to try and still uphold this crony capitalist system. She won't fight against the crony capitalism, but I'm with her on free speech.
This is going to get even crazier, you guys, because it does seem that we are constantly carving out these special territory for discussion pertaining to Israel. Like, the smears are never more insane. And it's something to pay attention to on the right. I am telling you guys, what is happening right now is insane. Right? They are trying to infringe upon our speech in ways that are getting very dark and very creepy. David Friedman, who was Trump's former U.S. ambassador in the first term, former U.S. ambassador to Israel, essentially is praising this current administration for jailing and deporting critics of Israel, and was specifically asked about me and Tucker Carlson, and he's calling for more deportation.
Also, let's make no mistake about that. What she just said is not anti-Semitic. She is anti-Semitic. So I want to be careful when we're doing this. Like, I agree with what she said. That wasn't anti-Semitism. She has done anti-Semitism. She does anti-Semitism. It's one of her gigs. This isn't it. But I do want to just say, I think her motivations, much like when we show a Nick Fuentes clip, their motivations are different than mine. My motivation is like, I just don't think we should have free speech. I don't think we should necessarily do genocide. I would say that I think her motivations are a little more sinister.
In jail and the cutting of funding to anti-Semites, people that are openly discussing. This is going to be like Dave Smith in the future. Pay attention to this. Where are all of those free speech people who grifted off of free speech and who won't say anything? And recognizing that this administration, this current administration, is taking a turn that is quite dark, okay? It is not what we signed up for. We are supposed to be the people who defend speech. So why is it now I'm finding myself in agreement with Anna Kasparian and Cenk over at the Young Turks, who are calling out what is happening and how suddenly there is this squeeze on speech only as it pertains to the special topic of Israel? Take a listen to what Anna had to say on.
Let me just real quick. The reason that she's finding herself agreeing with Cenk and Anna is they are like her. You could do, if you're building out a show like Candace's, there are certain things you could do and cover every day, and it would be ad nauseum. But those things are going to get clicks every single day. And Anna Kasparian, Cenk, they have their finger on the pulse of he calls himself a populist. And I do think Cenk's a populist. He has his finger on the pulse of like what a majority of Americans think. And he makes his programming based on that. So he takes what he thinks the most people are going to watch, and then he centers his programming around that. Candace Owens does the same thing. It's a good sign for the country that Cenk and Candace are on the same side. I think both of them are a little grifty just in the way that they do their show. Like, I think that if you're creating a show specifically for clicks and you're talking about things specifically for clicks, it comes off as grifty. When you ignore like bigger stories and you go down like the wormholes of conspiracy, I think it's a little grifty. It still has value for whatever. But that's why her and Cenk are on the same page, is because they're looking for the middle. And the reason I'm happy about this is because the middle, the thing that like most Americans think is, we're silencing speech now. Like, even and you have people arguing from both sides. Like, the speech is being silenced. Even speech we might not like, it should not be silenced like this.
The Young Turks.
No, Conscious Lobster, not like this show. If you want to be honest, like, no, not one single time ever have I built an outline where I thought about what people want to hear. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm kind of a fucking loser. If we're just on, like, all my friends are Republicans. The only time I really hang out with my friends is when I play golf, so we're not talking about like world events. Most of them are older than me. You know, most of the guys I play golf with are around my age, or like, you know, mid 40s, mid 50s, early 60s. They're all conservative, well-off Republicans. I really don't like. It's, truth be told, like, I'm kind of a fucking loser. So I wouldn't even know how to do that. And it's not like I have a team that puts together the show. Like, we have the research team, which I haven't used in a long time because of me. Like, I'm not very good at like getting together as a team and deciding like what we're going to do. I'm not a great team player. So no, not like this show. I think that this is a little bit different. And that's more to do with me being ADHD and kind of a loser. So if I stumble across something that happens to be similar to what everybody else does, I got lucky. And those are usually the shows that do the best. If I like, the shows I have with the most viewers are the ones that are similar to other shows. But I can tell you, I wouldn't even know how to do it on purpose.
David Friedman, who actually was Trump's ambassador to Israel in his first term, he doesn't just stop at progressives and their critique of Israel. He's also focusing on the right wing as well.
Yeah, I do, Nate.
I suspect that this is waking the right wing up.
Yeah, this is not going to play well.
Because if you think that free speech violations are only going to impact the left, you'd be mistaken. Take a look.
Good question, Late Night Sips. That person who was just speaking is a well-off liberal. I do know some. Yeah, there's some people in this audience right now that are liberal that do really well. Yeah, I mean, liberals generally make more money than conservatives. That's just, go look at the richest counties in the country, and they're mostly Democrat. So yeah.
I condemn anti-Semitism on the right and on the left. I'm an equal opportunity condemner of anti-Semitism.
You're alluding to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, none of them are any good on the right. On the left, I don't like any of these anti-Semites, and I'm not shy about it. There's no reason to think we're ever going to convince them, but we can deport them, we can put them in jail, we can make their lives miserable, we can cut off their funding, and that's what the Trump administration is doing for the first time.
Okay, now understand what he considers anti-Semitism. And by the way, you're an American citizen. If you are spewing anti-Semitic garbage, you're actually free to do that as long as you don't act on it, right? Free speech is a thing. Hate speech is protected under the First Amendment. This guy thinks that simply criticizing how Israel is prosecuting the war is already anti-Semitic. It's already anti-Semitism. And he wants to throw you in prison for it.
Yeah.
And that is where we have this disconnect. Because I saw a video, I probably should have played it at this point because it was kind of correct. It was some right winger put this video together, but it was a story from the Communist Party of America from, I think, like the 60s. And it was some member of the Communist Party who basically had put out an email that said, like, if you have somebody that's really problematic, that's causing you issues, like, call them a Nazi, call them a fascist. And that's kind of gone along around right-wing circles. And I do think that a lot of times people will point and say, like, Nazi, fascist, and they do it in a place that isn't necessarily Nazism or fascism. In fact, I think I've been critical here. I think that the first Trump administration saying fascist, saying Nazi was incorrect. I didn't see fascism in the same way. I saw a guy who I thought could be a fascist, like if the road was paved for him to be a fascist, I never thought for one second that Trump wouldn't be willing to take as much power as he's given. I don't even think Trump people disagree with that. I think you guys know. Like, Trump will take as much power as you can give him. He's going to ask for power, and if you don't give it to him, he'll kind of just move on. But if you do give it to him, he's going to take it. So I don't think that's a hot take. But this is fascism. There's no way around this. You may not say like this isn't Nazism, but I think that's fair. I think it's fair to say that it seems that the parallels between Trump and Hitler or MAGA and the Nazis is more like silencing speech and forcing a narrative, right? And silencing the opposition speak. Like, who was opposed to Hitler? Jewish people. Who was opposed to Hitler's ideas? Jewish people. And so he scapegoated them. Here, right now, what we're doing is we're scapegoating immigrants. Clearly, right? Like, we're sending them into camps. Some of them haven't broken a law, at least, or some of them have been, the Supreme Court said, like, bring them back, and we're sending them into camps. What's the difference here? They said the same thing, like, oh, well, these Jewish people came in, they took over our financial system. They're pushing a sexual revolution. They're wokeifying our kids. I don't know what word they use then. It's the same. I don't know what's different. I understand that you guys don't want to be compared to Nazis because of the genocide of the Jews. I get that. But, like, somebody tell me what the difference is here. We're sending people to prison that shouldn't be in prison, and this administration is saying, yeah, we're going to keep fucking doing it. We're just going to do it. Fuck the courts. If the courts rule against us, then the courts are corrupt. I'm really, really struggling to give you guys the benefit of the doubt right now. I really am. How do you look at what's happening and say, like, oh shit, this isn't the exact same thing with different scapegoats? The only difference so far, and I'll get to a video in a little bit because we don't know. The only difference so far is that we haven't killed all these people. That's basically the difference. But they're being sent to internment camps for who they are. And specifically now, what they're saying. People in this country who have hurt nobody, who just openly criticize Israel, are being thrown in jail. And you guys, you're going along with that. That's scary. And kudos to Candace Owens here. Shout out to Candace Owens. Whether it's a grift, whether it's not, I don't give a fuck. Like, she's kind of with us right now. Good for her. Anna Kasparian, good for her. These are two people I've criticized heavily. I do not like Anna Kasparian. I do not like Candace Owens. I do not like Cenk. I don't like any of them. They're not my favorite people, but this is good.
Prison for it.
And by the way, that was an answer to a question about Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. So we're not talking about student visas anymore.
Oh my God.
Now we're talking about core American podcasters, people in media on the right and the left. If you criticize Israel, he says, well, you have no heart and you have no mind. You have no heart because, of course, you should know when Israel slaughtered 15,000 children, it was the most moral thing to do. And if you dare disagree, we'll arrest you. And what did he say? Oh, we'll cut off your funding. By the way, he's like, it's anti-Semitic to say that the Jews would control speech in America. But if you dare cross Israel, we will cut off your funding, we will deport you, we will arrest you. But don't.
That's mostly why I don't like Cenk. I think his impressions are dog shit. Thanks. Shout out to you guys who picked up the Dr. Seuss reference there.
Say it. If you say it, what I just said, I'm going to call you an anti-Semite.
I know. Maybe I'll throw you in prison.
Okay. They're saying, well, we start with the left. But we're equal opportunity condemners.
Yeah.
So Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and everyone else, you start slightly criticizing.
Scare Bear, they do live here, you goddamn idiot. What are you talking about? We're sending them back because they don't live here. How the fuck are they here then? How are they here if they don't live here? How do we get, what were they doing here? Were they dead here? What a fucking dumb thing to say, dude. You're the guy that's like, yeah, well, maybe the Jews should go back to Israel in 1930s Germany. That was you. You're them.
Israel, we got a jail in Louisiana and then one in El Salvador that Israel can send you to via the US government.
It's insane.
Almost died.
Okay,
right
it is insane. Time for Americans to wake up to what is happening, okay? Because our freedoms will be taken away very quickly. And yes, it is happening under this administration, okay? 1000% Trump is being surrounded by ultra-Zionists who are getting him to take stances that are running counter to freedom. And those of us that are...
Now, she's a fucking coward. This is what I hate about you. This is what I hate about your side. Like, you get so close, but you guys are so goddamn afraid to criticize Donald Trump. If he can be convinced to take these positions, he's a fucking idiot. Make up your mind. Every time he does something you like, he's a genius. Then every time he does something you don't like, he was tricked into it. How many times is this guy going to get tricked into shit? They're tricking him into bad foreign policy. I don't know. I'm watching these meetings. I'm watching him in the Oval Office. He sure seems to be controlling the narrative in the Oval Office. He might get a lot of it from Stephen Miller. But this is the problem I have with Candace Owens. Like, just call balls and strikes, would you? Would you call balls and strikes, please, once in a while? You didn't hear me one fucking time when I was criticizing Biden about his stance on Israel, going, well, it's not Joe Biden's fault. He just has these advisors that are giving him bad advice. No. If you're too stupid to come up with your own opinion and see through bad advice, don't be president. And don't vote for dumb people.
Are calling it out. I don't care. I really don't care what you call me. I don't have to survive a Trump administration. My kids have to be able to grow up in a free country. I just can't. I will not tolerate it, whether it's happening on the left or the right.
I thought it was good. But the cowardice at the end is a little frustrating. Brian 87 said, "Can you recommend a good putter for under $250? Welcome back. Love the show. Let me give you a piece of advice a professional golfer gave me. He said that if you are not golfing regularly, if you don't have like a really, really like perfect putting stroke, you should get a blade putter. And if your putting stroke is really, really good, you should get a mallet putter. There's this conventional idea that like stability is better for putters. It's not true if you have a bad stroke, because if you have a bad stroke, it's just going to stabilize your bad stroke. You can't manipulate it. That being said, you should buy used putters. And I would look, if you're trying to save some money, I would go used, and I would look at like a Cleveland, like the Huntington line. There was a 1 year like putter of the year was a Tommy Armour. It was like a, I don't know, a mallet putter with the two blades on the side. There you go. If you're spending $250 on a putter, you're wasting your money. Buy a used putter and try and spend $100 or less. That's my advice. I have experienced all the stroking. Jen, you want to do announcements while you're here? I see a couple things came in. No one sees Scare Bear's comments. Automod flagged them. Oh, I'm responding to Scare Bear and the Automods. All right. Jamar said Trump is being surrounded. He surrounded himself with these people purposely. Yeah, 100%. You can't really blame him for choosing those people. Hey, Jen.
Hey, so you had a decent trip.
We didn't talk.
Is this small talk?
Is what?
Is this small talk? Do you hate this?
No, because I haven't talked to you for a while. So it's like usually if it's small talk, we've already talked like 20 times in the day. But you and I haven't talked since I think Thursday.
Yeah, we haven't talked on the phone except for that weird text you sent me.
Did I send you a weird text?
Yeah.
I did?
The new segment you want to do for the show?
I should play it. Yeah, I'm gonna copy.
Our texts are kind of funny. Oh, when we message each other back and forth, it's every now and then I don't know if I'm getting serious J or non-serious J. It's usually non-serious J. So I get this text from him.
Yeah, I was high for sure. Do you guys want to see it?
Yeah.
Should we show?
Sure.
I thought this would be a good segment for Jen for when she came on to do announcements, and she doesn't think it's a great idea. I just got to figure out. There's a way to full screen this so that right. How do I full screen Instagram?
Just zooming in. Michael, ew. No, Michael, ew. No.
All right, here it is.
It's Will.
Will, no problem. What are we ordering tonight, sir?
I'll take a large pepperoni pizza with...
I'm sorry?
Can I have a large pepperoni pizza?
No problem. Anything else?
A large 2 liter. Yeah, and do you have any of this? Do you have any of that?
Yeah, we have a lot of that.
Yeah, we have a lot of that. I watched so many of those videos. That was the only guy that like loved it. All right, there we go. Sorry, everybody. That's what I sent to Jen. Oh, I think it kicked me out of the. Oh no, Jen's just muted. All right, Jen.
No, just muted because I can't hear. Anyways, so yeah, no, so he's on new segment. I said, "Are you gassy enough?" And he's like, "I was thinking maybe you could do it." And I told him that girls don't fart and that's a blowjob. So
I didn't know that.
That's the one time I heard. I heard from Jay this weekend. So yeah. All right. So since he abandoned us for 2 days to go play with his siblings and stuff, we've got, you see the gift gold at the top left-hand corner, Venmo, Cash App, Super Chats. I'll go towards knocking out the rest of that gift goal. I know that I've seen in the comment a couple times in the chat that this is our job. I know you guys don't like that, so this is our job and this is how we pay our bills. So if you guys could help us knock out that goal, we would greatly appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed to us yet, please do so. You can use your Amazon Prime sub on Twitch, and just hitting the subscribe button on YouTube would be great. So you can get notifications when we go live. The plan is you're going to be live tonight, right?
Oh shit, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. You want to check with Amir and make sure and see if he could.
Oh, he's planning on it.
Has he figured out his internet situation yet?
I talked to him. He said that he went into Verizon. I guess I've instilled some kind of fear with him too. So he said he took his hotspot into Verizon. So he had a solid stream yesterday.
Okay.
I'll have to send you a picture. Someone
Verizon fixed his stream, huh? Usually that you use like a prostate supplement for that,
really,
but
yeah, that typically. But I guess in Colorado they can do more than just that one. They can do all kinds of things. Here, I'm gonna grab this picture. So he got into a beef with some people yesterday.
Abner did? That's shocking.
Yeah. So someone made this. I just put it in our chat. That image of Abner.
Who made that?
F-ball. So.
Sorry, Abner. I hate to do it to you, but that's pretty good.
Yeah. So subscribe to us on YouTube and Twitch so you can get notifications when we go live, so you can see that. So there's that. What else we got? If you guys are opposition and do you want opposition today, or are you just looking to go through?
If you're not crazy, maybe not Scare Bear. Sorry, Scare Bear. Put your question in the comment again. I didn't see it. I can't see the whole chat, so you're gonna have to ask me that question again, Scare Bear. But yeah, I'll take opposition if you're not gonna be a psycho and scream at me. That'd be great.
Yeah. Well, Scare Bear, a lot of his, I don't know if you realize this, a lot of his comments get caught up in the auto mod. So a lot of the things that he's screaming.
Oh, that's the question. Scare Bear said, if someone breaks into your home illegally, do they just live there now? Why avoid answering the question? No. And also, the people that are being deported aren't here illegally. They didn't come here and break into the country. Most of them were here on asylum-seeking claims, and they don't live in our house. And the country doesn't have property rights the same way that we do. We have individual property rights. So if somebody breaks into my home, which has happened, I usually use my Second Amendment right to defend myself. That's what I would do personally. Everybody has their own opinion on that, but no, and it's not the same thing. That's just that's like an argument from 15 years ago that Republicans don't even use anymore because it's been absolutely and thoroughly destroyed. But thank you for asking that. Go ahead, Jen.
So if you disagree with Jay and you'd like to talk to him about it, how you do that is you look at the Venmo user handle Jen, JENN, WBB, the number 1. That is my Discord username. If you'd like to have a conversation with RTP, that's how you do that. Message me on Discord and I can get you on to have a conversation. Also check out our link tree. We're on most socials and we've got some different merch. And we wrap up the show at 1 Pacific time each day. So if we can knock out the rest of that gift gold before the end of the show, we'd greatly appreciate it. So what did Snow White say when her photocopier took too long?
So you broke up. What?
What did Snow White say when her photocopier took too long?
I don't know.
Someday my prince will come.
Stupid. Moose, you got to go do some more research on Asylum Bud. I don't have time to correct this, but the CBP1 app is not auto admission. You've got to. I know that JD Vance said that, but you have to remember JD Vance is a fucking idiot. And so go do a little more research on what the CBP1 app does, and then come back, okay? Because I don't have time to correct that for you. But good question. I appreciate that you're asking questions. I think that that's wonderful. I've now also lost my outline at some point. Where did that go? Where's my outline? Give me 1 second, guys. I must have closed it. All right, we're back. All right. Now, like we said, Candace Owens, she's not she's not going to blame Trump, and she doesn't have to. This is interesting polling out from CNN. This is polling from Independence. I think this goes to show that Candace Owens is correct. Cenk is correct that what this president is doing is deeply unpopular, and it's not just with us. It's with independents, and it's with some conservatives.
Yeah, we'll focus in on independents here, and independents feel that Donald Trump has vacated the center of the electorate, catering to his base. What are we talking about? Well, let's talk about the overall net approval ratings. We're going to look at the worst ever at this point in a presidency. The old record among independents for the worst ever was Donald Trump back in 2016, a net approval rating of minus 16 points. Well, Donald Trump has broken his own record here. He now holds, in this particular term, the worst ever net approval rating at this point in a presidency among independents at, get this, minus 22 points. He is 22 points underwater with independents. That breaks the old record that belonged to Trump. He has set the new record. He is completely underwater with the center of the electorate, Kate Baldwin.
And this is overall. This
Yes.
is on all the issues. Now, focus in specifically on the economy.
Yeah, let's focus in on the economy, right? What is driving this overall approval rating for Donald Trump among independents to go underwater? Let's take a look at the economy. And let's take a
By the way, this polling is not from CNN, it's from Enton's aggregate. So anybody who's dismissing this because it's CNN, don't worry about that. It's not from CNN. They're just reporting on the numbers.
Look at Trump's net approval rating on it and look at the trend line over just the last few months. You go back to January, he was slightly above water with independents at plus 1 point. Look at this drop, Kate. Oh, my. Minus 29 points. That's a 30-point drop in under 3 months of time. What independents are hearing from Donald Trump, they hate. They hate what they're hearing from Donald Trump, and they are abandoning him in record numbers. At this point in his last presidency, he was about at even, at 0 points in terms of his net approval rating on the economy, and now he's at minus 29 points. You go back through the record books, I simply put, Kate Baldwin, can't find anything close to this. This is such a record that there is no historical analogy to be 29 points underwater on the most important issue of the day with independents. This right here, my dear friends, is political poison. If an election were held today and Donald Trump's net approval rating in the economy was minus 29 points with independents, I'm not quite sure how Republicans can hold on to the House of Representatives.
Some of you guys know before I did this job, I was a professional sports bettor, and I love sports. I don't have as much time for sports anymore, but Donald Trump is the Cleveland Browns, and I think that's the best comparison. Donald Trump speaks in a way that gives people hope. He speaks so definitively and with so much confidence that people think, man, if this guy can even pull off a tenth of what he's saying, we're going to be incredible. And unlike most politicians, he is very, very willing to make like wild claims of things that he's going to get done. And so you see in 2017, this is a rerun, except for the problem this time for Trump is he has much dumber people in office with him. He has yes men. So Trump, you see those quick swings? It's because people want to believe Trump. I want to believe Trump. I know you guys want to believe. Imagine if Trump was right. Okay, and we didn't have to pay income taxes anymore, and we could just pay tariffs, and it wouldn't hurt people. And imagine if, when Trump came in on day one, he ended the war in Ukraine and ended the war in Israel. And imagine if he stopped, like he said, he was going to stop interfering in foreign countries. And imagine if our border only let in people that were quickly vetted, who wanted to work here, and we could keep drugs and criminals out. If Donald Trump was actually capable of pulling off some of the things that he claims he's going to do, that would be wonderful. So I understand why people like him. And I understand even some people who are like, it's been 60, 70 days, whatever it is now, I'm going to give him more time than this. I understand that too. But while I'll give you that, you have to understand that not everybody feels that way. People react to the moment. And then I don't know how you recover from this. Independents, once they've kind of turned on you, they're just done with you for a while. I don't know how you recover from this. My concern is that their attempt to recover from this is going to be breaking our elections, somehow giving Trump a third term, rigging everything, setting it up for them, which they're currently working on, by the way. They're absolutely breaking our elections right now. Last week, the House passed a bill that would make it more difficult for women to vote. That's crazy. They are doing it. There's no argument against it. These are things we told you they were going to do because it's in Project 2025. And you're like, no, they're not going to do it. And I guess my real question for all of you, you were all around. We've seen you guys forever. How is it that you go from no, he's not going to do that before the election, to now he's doing it, and you're like, this is what we voted for? I don't get it. And I think a lot of you have lost I think a lot of people have lost trust in you. Not everybody's Republican. I know you guys think so because you won an election. But you didn't win it in the way that you think you did. You won by 2 million votes. It's the closest election I think we've had in a very long time. I don't know when the last time an election was closer than that. In all those swing states that Trump won, Democrats won down ballot. There was this feeling in America that Donald Trump was the right person for this job, and maybe because of the stuff that he was saying, I don't know. But there was that feeling, and that feeling is gone now. And the feeling's gone largely because the very things that we told people to worry about, that they were like, no, you're just fear-mongering, so I don't vote for Trump, those things are happening now. And I'm just like, person to person, man to man, whoever it is, like, what are we doing here? What kind of person would say 6 months ago, no, we're not going to do this, and then turn now and be like, yeah, this is what he was going to do all along. We knew it. Where's you have no pride? You don't care at all that, like, you just look like a fucking idiot, that you got played? That doesn't bother you? It seems like you like being played. That's my real problem with what's going on now. If you voted for this, and if you all 6 months ago would have been like, yeah, this is what we're doing, all right, I'd weirdly have like a little more respect for you. But you all lied about this because you didn't know what was happening. And the only reason you're supporting it now is because you never did support what he said. You support him. You think he is great. And that's why we are where we are. I'll continue this polling.
Is it all tariffs that are driving this?
Yeah, okay. So let's take a look here at tariffs. This is definitely part of it. A clear plan for tariffs and trade among independents. Look at this. 57% say no. He doesn't even have a clear plan for what he should be doing with tariffs and trade. And when asked whether or not they like the idea of additional tariffs, guess what percentage of independents say no, that they oppose it? It is 2/3. It is 66% of independents who oppose new tariffs. They don't like anything that's coming out of Donald Trump's right now, absent maybe immigration. But when it comes to the economy, when it comes to overall, when it comes to tariff, it's a threesome for negativity among independents. They oppose, oppose, oppose. They simply put, do not like the words that are coming out of Donald Trump's mouth and the plans that he is putting forward to the American public.
And look, here's the reality. The reason people are so against these tariffs, and somebody said, like, you just need to give him time. This was always the plan. This never works. The only way for this to work, the only way this works, is if somehow Every country decides we're just going to do what America says. Your plan relies on every other country just doing what we say. I don't know why they would do it. A lot of these countries, there's no reason for them to do what we say. China now is just saying like, oh, you're not going to send us beef? Cool. We'll go get beef from Australia. It's going to be better anyway. It's like Bill Burr had a segment. I didn't put it on here, but Bill Burr's like, yeah, why people look at what we look like over here, and then they wonder why they don't want to buy our produce, why they want to buy our meat. How is this MAGA movement, both the movement of like, we love RFK, we got to get all this shit out of our food, and also like, why aren't these people buying our food? Look at Europe. Europe doesn't allow these things in their food. How come Europe doesn't want our food? Do you see the problem here? The problem is that you're trying to explain something to people who don't love Donald Trump. They're indifferent. They don't care. They're not in love with politicians. And they recognize the hypocrisy in literally everything that you do. Countries don't fucking like us. You understand that, right? They don't like us. We're the bully. We have maintained this position because we were bullies, but we had people that like at least diplomatically were bullies. Like they figured out ways around it. This guy's not doing it. This guy's like, oh, let's be even bigger bullies. And the world has been preparing for this. I'll show you a video here in a minute. China's been ready for this. China has been decoupling from the United States for years now. They were ready for this, which is why when Trump went at China and said, here's your tariffs, they're like, cool, we'll tariff you back. He's like, oh, we'll tariff you higher. Cool, we'll tariff you higher. They're not going to blink. You guys can't win unless China blinks. And China doesn't need us like you think they do. In fact, China is turning a lot of us into, waking up a lot of us going, ooh, you know, our whole life we thought it was so bad in China. And think about it. Think about the things that you think about China. Think about the things you think about slave labor and freedom of speech and communism and Mao. Those were a long fucking time ago. A long time ago. And they've been getting better. They've been moving towards a more free society for decades now. It's interesting that like we look at China and we're like, oh, well, they're not perfect, so China's bad. Okay. But we're not perfect either. And it takes us a long time. And we're still fighting battles for like civil liberties. We're still stripping people of their rights here in America. If you just put a side-by-side chart and you didn't list the countries, and we just said like, here's what this country does, here's what this country does, and you say, which country do you want to live in? I think a lot of people would take the censored speech of China over living here right now. I think most people would say, you know what, fuck it. Yeah, I know they're not going to let me say what I want to say all the time, but life is better. You have healthcare. Your country's on the cutting edge of everything technologically. When was the last time China was in a war? When was the last time China invaded? It doesn't really happen, right? Like I understand like that we've built up this rhetoric. We did it with Russia and we're doing it with China now. And they've scared you into thinking that like Chinese Communist Party means that we'll live communism. They're not communist over there. Otherwise, you're going to have to explain how they make all our goods. How does a communist country make all of our goods? How does a communist country do capitalism and destroy all the goods? China will destroy themselves. We're destroying ourselves. We are. God damn, look in the mirror, folks. Name one thing about Name one thing about China that you can't say about the United States. We have abandoned our allies. We're abandoning our trade partners. We're getting rid of trade partners. We're telling our trade partners, nah, we don't really fucking care about you guys anymore. You do what we say or else. And they're like, or else what? We have other options now. Let me show you this this video here. Actually, I'm gonna skip. Jen, this is gonna go. Actually, I'll skip that. We'll get back to tariffs here in a minute. I want to clear something up. I think on Thursday, I think it was Thursday before I left, I was on a live, maybe it was Wednesday, with Alina. Before I debated about communism, there was a conversation about Dean and Parker and how they're going on this. I think it's like Unfuck America. Is that what it is? Is it Unfuck America? Is that what their tour is? And they're basically just going to follow Charlie Kirk around and debate. And there's some beef there with Alina and those two. My only point was, I thought it was strange that Parker and Dean were upset that it was called performative. I didn't get that. It's performative. That's what they do. And I don't actually have a problem with that. I don't think that being a content creator who is performative is necessarily a bad thing. I think that you have clips that you can send to your friends of Dean and Parker dismantling really complex ideas, and they do it really, really well. So I did want to say that, like, I didn't mean it disrespectfully. I like what they're doing. I think it's good. And the reason I think it's good is because right now Charlie Kirk is winning this battle at people that look and sound like Dean and Parker. He's winning that battle. He gives them free apparel, and he gets to say mean things, and he goes to college tours, and he's really feeling himself. He has too much confidence. So I'm glad that they're doing that. I just wanted to be clear on that. I understand some people have frustrations with them. I don't. I just think it was weird that they got upset that allegedly, I didn't even see it, that somebody called them performative. Thank you, Thurman, for the super chat there. But let me show you this video. This is why I think that what they're doing is going to be important, because this is what's happening all across the country. Charlie Kirk sitting around surrounded by the way, all these people are given shirts and hats, which is interesting. So they show up in droves. And they surround Charlie Kirk. They are just fanboys. It's probably the young Republicans at their school. They're in matching outfits because fascism. I don't know. Like, every fascist regime has an outfit. Why did these guys? I don't know why you guys haven't figured this out. Like, they're putting you in a uniform everywhere you go. Anyways.
Honest. Right. Do you think Israel gets favorable or unfavorable media treatment?
Very favorable, especially with the recent past. If you look at, there's a student that is getting their visa removed for supporting Palestine, and she's going to be deported, even though she's in here on a visa.
Look it up. But the media is totally against that. You said Israel is an...
That's crazy, right? He's like, the media is against us. And what it's really against is deporting people for their speech. We just saw Candace Owens say the same thing. Tucker Carlson say the same thing. It's not the media is against you. It's that your idea sucks. You think you can deport people for speech. That's the real problem.
Enemy. Define what an enemy is.
They don't favor us, and we give them unfair treatment. Epstein he was a Mossad agent, and he was compromising our politicians to do things for Israel that Americans do not approve of.
We don't know for certain, but you might be right. The evidence suggests...
We know that he was Mossad.
No, we don't.
His father...
Okay, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, not his father, okay, you got to get your facts right, was Robert Maxwell, who owned a newspaper and was part of Israeli intelligence.
Right.
There's evidence to suggest it. And by the way, he very well just as equally could have been a Saudi agent, okay?
Just as easily?
Yeah, I mean, like, we don't know.
I don't know all the facts either.
So it could be Saudi or Israeli. I'm open to discuss this at any time, and I think you're coming after this with good faith.
I do want to point out one thing, though. He is cool. Like, they're cool here saying, like, yeah, Epstein, he was doing the bidding of Israel, possibly the Saudis. I don't know. And that's a problem. You have Charlie Kirk here saying, yeah, that's possible. What I would love, and what I hope Parker and Dean, somebody said it sounds like NORADs and Mr. Jones are also going. That's great. That'll be good. What I wish somebody would do is point out that when those soldiers just barely, when you had what is it, distinguished transfer? I keep forgetting what that's called. I don't want to be disrespectful by calling it the wrong thing. Dignified transfer? I can't remember what it's called. I'm so sorry. Where was Donald Trump? He was golfing with Saudi investors. He was meeting with Saudi investors from the Saudi royal family, the same people who funded 9/11. And he had Netanyahu here the other week, and he's kissing his ass. The interesting thing about, like, what Republicans are doing right now, and I think why Candace Owens is correctly calling this out, is because when Jeffrey Epstein does it, it's bad. When Trump does it, it's good. Like, Trump is just as beholden to Israel and Saudi Arabia, probably more so than any president we've ever had. He's literally getting rid of people and silencing speech of people who criticize another country. He's the most bought and paid for politician we've ever had, and he's mostly bought by the Saudis and Israel.
Or I don't like the guy earlier, it's the Jews. I think that's just dreadfully wrong. But as far as understanding, like, we should always put our country first. And I will ask, so you have
Christ first before our country.
I agree. So how do we know the Bible is...
That's crazy too. Christ first before our country? What if something from Christ's church is against the law? Then what? Then what do we do? That's a crazy thing to say too. We got to stop that shit. No, you live here under these laws. You in your personal life can choose Christ first. That's fine. But Christ before, like this imaginary being before our country, that's wild.
It's true.
We know it's true because we trust the church fathers, we trust our faith, we trust
Archaeologically, how
a lot of archaeological evidence.
Where is that?
And here's where the argument comes from. Here's where I have a real fucking problem with people like Charlie Kirk. Because Charlie Kirk now is about to go mask off. When he's talking to another Christian, he's going to go mask off of why he believes this. Now, Charlie says this all the time. He says, I'm personally against abortion because it's my beliefs, but I can make an argument without using my beliefs. Cool, but you started with the conclusion. When you start with the conclusion that this is bad, then literally every piece of evidence that you bring forward is enough for the people that follow you because they just want a couple pieces of evidence. So he's doing the same thing here, like, oh, I'm for Israel and I can make an argument without my faith. And then he'll make an argument, but they all start from the same place. They're pro-Israel. So they're starting with that confirmation bias. But here he is mask off like, the reason that I'm really for Israel is because of the archaeological evidence. And he's going to explain that.
We trust the church fathers, we trust our faith, we trust
Archaeologically, how?
a lot of archaeological evidence.
Where is that archaeological evidence?
Palestine. Over in Israel, Palestine, the Middle East. It's
I know,
all
but
over
Israel, right?
Jordan as well.
Well, it's not very much in Jordan, but yeah, but it's in Israel.
That general area, yeah.
So, but we are able to prove that our Lord walked on water, able to prove that he rose from the dead. We're able to see the place this happened because of the reconstitution of the state of Israel.
That's crazy. He just said we can prove Jesus walked on water. Did you hear that? How? No, they're just pointing to a place and they're like, he walked on water here. All they're proving is that, like, in the book, some of the places that they talked about are real places. That's what he's really saying here. So we're cool watching people be murdered mercilessly because it's very important that we can look at a piece of water and be like, that's where Jesus walked. He walked right on that water over there. So using Charlie's logic, I could off my neighbor for working on a Sunday. There you go. Jamar said, this was about Trump. It said, Trump is being surrounded. He surrounded himself with these people purposely.
Israel is a preservation tool to make sure the veracity, authenticity of the scriptures remain. And you don't have to agree with this.
So Israel needs to be there, and we need to have access to it so that our religion doesn't fall the fuck apart. Have you guys ever been to Israel, like Jerusalem? My mom went to Jerusalem, and she brought back like all these artifacts, and she has this whole like scrapbook of it, and it's like this is where Jesus died on the cross. All right. This is a tomb. Okay. Like, it's just stuff that's been preserved from that time period, and Christians mistakenly, they do this all the time. In fact, there's an example in, is it not Chichen Itza? Is it Chichen Itza? Tulum, excuse me, Tulum. There are these pyramids in Tulum. If any of you have ever been there in Mexico, it's down between Cancun and Playa del Carmen. And there's these pyramids there, and you can go and you can take a tour. And if you go down there and you just have a tour director, they'll tell you about the history of, I don't know if that was the Mayan people. I'm sorry, I'm bad at I don't know all those. I don't know who built the pyramids in Tulum, but whoever it is, they'll tell you that. They'll tell you the story of the indigenous people there and how they lived. There's a second option for the pyramids, the tombs. There's a second option there. You can take a Mormon tour. And the Mormon tour will tell you something completely different. The Mormon tour will tell you that these are Jewish people who came over from Israel and settled in Central America, and they built these tombs, and they do that in order to justify and add veracity or validity to the Book of Mormon. I've seen this in real time many times. If you happen to live in Missouri, there's a place in outside of Independence, Missouri, that the Mormons call Adam on Diamond. And Adam on Diamond is supposed to be where the Garden of Eden is. And you can go on a Mormon tour. They have bought that land, and they'll tell you this is where the Garden of Eden was. It was in Missouri, just outside of Independence, Missouri. There's a mountain that they call what is it? The Hill Cumorah. It's just a hill in upstate New York, and they call it the Hill Cumorah because Cumorah was the name of a place where a guy in the Book of Mormon buried like his golden plates, and that's where Joseph Smith found them. So nobody called it the Hill Cumorah. In fact, that site has been excavated. They have went through there looking over and over for those plates, but Mormons still say like it's important for them to be able to point at something and say this is the Hill Cumorah. They bought the land around it, and now they have a pageant every year. And I think the pageant's actually done now. I think they've stopped doing it. They do a pageant there every year, and they have this big play that talks about the history of the Book of Mormon and how this place is a real historical place. It's not. That's what Jerusalem is. These people are saying it's okay to murder people because this story that we have, we need people to be able to come to Israel and we can point at stuff and be like, see, it's true. See, it's true. See, it's true. It's the same exact thing.
And I understand. Israel represents the birth of civilization. It is a connective tissue to the West. And I will.
The birth of civilization.
Why do we?
That's fucking crazy. The birth of civilization is Israel? See what I mean? Like, this is who Charlie Kirk really is. You cannot listen to his arguments and be like, oh, yeah, these are well thought out. No, he starts with the idea that Israel must be protected and anybody against Israel is evil, and then he builds from there. That's why it's hard. And I hope somebody gets in. Listen, I'll be an asshole here. What Parker and Dean need, and I don't know Dean's background, so maybe Dean's this. They need somebody with them who's deconstructed, and I'm not volunteering because I don't want to go. So I'm not trying to like push myself into this. I do not want to be part of that. Somebody needs to. Somebody who understands what deconstruction is and understands what Charlie Kirk is doing here should. It would be great if they had them on the tour because this stuff is so easily debunked. This is nonsense. But what he's doing right now is he's talking to a Christian. And that Christian believes the same shit he does. And this Christian is trying to say, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't just, like, murder innocent people. And Charlie Kirk is saying, I don't like murdering innocent people, but this is important. If this goes away, then our entire belief system goes away, and God will be mad. So we have to do this. So we're justifying death and war for God. That's why this is happening. That's why this war is going on. In many ways, the support for it. Now, on the ground, like, I don't know if everybody there views this as a religious war. I know some do. But here in America, conservatives that support Israel, they view it as a religious war. They view it as a moral war. And so any lack of morality that you show in this war is okay. It's just fine because you're doing it for God. And sometimes the what is it? The mean end justifies the mean. Did I do that backwards? Yeah. They're justifying this type of behavior because truthfully, that's what they believe. And they believe that they must protect Israel because it's somehow important to God that Israel be run by Netanyahu, I guess. I don't know.
Still consider.
I don't know if Jones, maybe Jones does understand deconstruction. He and I are not that close, so hopefully he does.
Them so largely to be the people of God. It's almost like we favor that term, which I don't think that there's enough backing and actual evidence and proof. Not that we need proof, but we just constantly say these terms. They're the people of God. They're the chosen ones. But the truth is that they rejected Jesus Christ, and that doesn't mean that, a lot of us reject Jesus Christ, unfortunately. But as Christians, then we say they're the chosen ones, but we know that the Christians are now the chosen ones because we chose the real God.
Got it. So that's where we have a theological disagreement. We are told in the end of times that the keepers of the law, the Hebrews, will turn back to Christ.
Hopefully, amen.
Yes, and so we believe the Constitution of Israel is the beginning of hopefully that unfolding process.
But why is it when we criticize Israel, it's clear that the treatment is unfair, and unfortunately, especially on your side of politics, any conservative that usually criticizes these, they're not allowed to hold events like this. They're not allowed to receive funding. They lose their bank accounts. They all have to work mostly normal jobs because if you criticize that, you don't get to do stuff like this.
Okay.
So why? It's a specific thing.
I mean,
a specific country, specific people. It's not China.
I'm not really sure
Russia. You can criticize China and Russia
I disagree.
pretty fairly, but if you criticize Israel,
I disagree.
You lose all that stuff. You can't disagree. It's just facts. Though.
No.
You know a lot of people that have.
Hold on a second. If you really wanted to start like an anti-Israel organization or whatever, it's so easy to get funding.
That was JFK. He didn't want to.
Yeah, it's so easy to get funding, but then you're going to have this administration cracking down on you. What Charlie Kirk is celebrating now is the attacks on free speech by this administration. He's like, it's not fair that people didn't want to give. And by the way, this man, nobody has gotten more funding than Charlie Kirk. So for him to sit here and be like, it's not fair. It's so the easiest way to get funding is be a fucking conservative, and a reactionary conservative. All the highest paid people in media are conservatives, and every last one of them has financial backing. If just the size of this show, if I was a conservative, I would have financial backers already. And they would be paying for advertising. They'd be clipping my shit every single day, and they would blow it up. It's way easier to make money as a conservative content creator than it is a liberal one.
More what Israel was doing, and then he got
not letting
killed.
me finish my sentence, man. So I'm gonna have to go to the next question. It's very simple, okay? If you wanted to go like start a Turning Point USA to go like fight against Israel, I could tell you someone that would finance you with a lot of money. Go to the Muslims, and they would finance that organization to the sky. But why isn't that?
Not about fighting or
Hold on, you just said no one's going to finance it. There's literally 1,000 Muslim organizations. You can go to
I'm talking about America.
No, there's plenty of Muslims in America. Elon Omar could finance your organization. Rashida Tlaib could finance your organization.
I want to work with Christians.
Those work. Those organizations exist, and they're not being financed by Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib. This is why I'm excited for the work that they're going to do. I'll cut it off there with Charlie Kirk. He's just incredibly disingenuous, and all of them, they all hide behind this religious imagery as if it is an argument to allow people to be separated from their families, to be murdered in Israel and in Palestine. It's gross, and so I'm looking forward to that tour. I want to say I wish those guys well. I hope they do really well over there, and I hope they have a lot of clips, and I hope everybody watches it, and I hope it elevates the position of, hey, you guys are supposed to be Christian. There's no shot. There is absolutely no shot. But show me a scripture. Show me one where Jesus was like, yeah, we should definitely kill innocent people to preserve archaeology. It's very important that you guys have a plaque here that says this is where Jesus walked on water. And for that reason, in the future, when you're reading this book, make sure that you kill anybody who says, oh, maybe Jesus didn't walk on water. Jesus isn't for this. That's crazy. These are just barbaric dirtbags who want to control people, and they like the control that Christianity gives, and they like the people who have bastardized Christianity to turn it into cults, into like mind control shit, and they like that. And so now they justify violence. Jesus would never have justified any of that violence. Good point. Muslims await Jesus too. That's a good point. Yeah. Anybody who justifies violence in the name of their God can go fuck themselves, and that includes any extremist from any religion. Name the religion. If you are justifying killing people in the name of your religion, go fuck yourself. I think that's a good line to have. I do not understand for the life of me the people who say like we should get rid of all Islamic extremists and then stand by and watch Christian extremists do the same thing. I don't, for the life of me, I'll never understand that. It is just, it's your, well, I guess I used to understand it. It's your way of saying, I'm right and you guys are wrong, so you can die. And I'm right, meaning like my beliefs. Like my God is better than your God. I have better God information than you do. Your God doesn't like my God, so you should die. Like that's the history of this world. Virtually every conflict, every major war we've ever fought in this world comes down to like beliefs, which is a silly fucking thing to argue about. It's a silly fucking thing to fight about. I don't know why we do that. But that's how it's being justified in America. That's how we're justifying the horrific treatment of immigrants here and people who just say free Palestine. And by the way, it may not be safe for people like me much longer in this country. I'll get to those clips here in a second. I want to do just a couple more things, and then we'll get into tariffs. Let's see. I can come back to these. I wanted to get into RFK real quick, because RFK is now launching what he claims is by September that we will know what causes autism. Now, we've studied this. People that are qualified, not like RFK, people who have qualified have studied this for decades. I don't know that we have answers yet, but we do know that the links between autism and vaccines have been heavily studied, and nobody has found a verified link. But RFK is still going to try it. He's hiring a man named David Geyer. He was, I think he was the FDA vaccine official. I don't remember what he was. He didn't work on the FDA. What was his job? Anyways. This is Dr. Peter Marks. He's the one that's the FDA official. And he'll just tell you, like, why hiring David Geyer is one of the craziest hires I've ever seen in my whole life. This is the equivalent of like saying, I want somebody who's an expert at tying shoes and then hiring a 1-year-old toddler. Right, like they're an expert at the exact opposite of that. They'll tie your shoes in knots. They can't figure out how to do a bow. This is crazy that this is who we're hiring to figure out the link between autism and vaccines.
It stood out to us that Secretary Kennedy has hired someone named David Geyer to conduct analysis of the links between autism and vaccines. He was charged by the state of Maryland in 2011 with practicing medicine without a license. That was weeks after his father's medical license was suspended for putting autistic children at risk by giving them a hormone blocking agent. So, what should the public know or expect from the work that he will do for the US government?
So all I can say is I would not concede. He's, to the best of my knowledge, he's not had any training after college in any of the sciences that we value here. What I think we can expect is the expected, that there will be an association determined between vaccines and autism, because it's already been determined. This is not how science is conducted.
This is some like straight up crazy shit that we're doing here. This goes along with what Charlie Kirk is doing. RFK, his entire value, his entire personality, his entire platform relies on faulty science. And if he is proven wrong, he loses his credibility forever. That's why you don't put a quack in charge of this shit. Because his only incentive is to be proven right. You see what happens just when he said the other day, like, that you should get the MMR vaccine. And you already see the cracks. Like, people are like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't get an MMR vaccine. It's linked. It'll kill you. It's not good to take that vaccine. And he's faced with this problem. Like, oh, people are dying. Children are dying. And it seems to be just the unvaccinated children who are dying from this. So maybe you should take that vaccine. So now he's setting himself up. Like, this is what's great. Like, this is our government. This is our scientists. I understand the people that are like, I don't trust the government. They lie. I don't trust Big Pharma. They lie. I don't trust the FDA, the NIH, the CDC, whatever. How is the solution then to put just somebody in there that you trust, not knowing if they're going to give you good answers? This is like, we're talking about setting ourselves backwards decades. This anti-science administration is going to set us back decades. Like, people already have died. People will continue to die because they believe people like RFK. And then here's what we have. So then we have Dr. Oz. They're like, oh, RFK is getting in trouble, Dr. Oz. Why don't you go out there, podcaster Dr. Oz? Why don't you go out there and give the people some science so that they'll respect RFK? Go give the science. Back him up. Here's what he came up with. Oh, real quick, I need to read a comment. There was a joke here. Sorry. Amber said, what do you call a teacher that doesn't fart in public? Is a private tutor. Just a reminder, we are crowdfunded, so Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, that's either above me or below me, depending on when you're watching. I'll read anything that you write. We also do super chats. Brian said, so using Charlie's logic, I could off my neighbor for working on a Sunday. Yeah, might as well. Maybe we'll get there at some point. All right, here's Dr. Oz.
That we have a generational opportunity to make this country as healthy as it should be. And the person who has represented this more than any other, Secretary Kennedy, is a dear friend. I've known him for many years through his foundation work, but I met him on my show. And when he came on the show, many did not want him to appear because they thought he had far-out ideas that were so bad they shouldn't be heard. And I'll tell you in my mind how you define Maha, because it's how you define the next speaker, Secretary Kennedy. It's defined in 3 words. The first is curiosity. Are you truly desirous of learning what needs to be done to improve the life of your fellow man? And if you are truly curious...
I like that, by the way. I think curiosity is severely underrated. I agree with Dr. Oz there.
And remember, 80% of questions are statements in disguise. So if you're truly curious and you really go in there with questions and you hear stuff that matters, are you then courageous enough to share it with people around you? Because when you do that, sometimes folks get mad at you, especially with the current healthcare system that we have. And certainly Senator Kennedy has faced that. Secretary Kennedy finally is a compassionate man. And I say that because I think of him like a brother, but I have never seen him do something mean to anybody else. So if you're curious and you're...
I mean, he sexually assaulted his babysitter. I guess you didn't see that. He hasn't been a great man his whole life. My problem with RFK is not that he's not curious. My problem with RFK is that his curiosity seems to come in second to his dollars. This is a man who makes money going after pharmaceutical companies. This is a person who's made virtually their entire name off of being an anti-vaxxer. He could say all he wants that he's not an anti-vaxxer, but what's ironic is like everywhere he goes, every single place that he's popular is filled with anti-vaxxers. When he was called to go out to, I don't remember if it was Tonga or Samoa, he was invited to go speak out there, and they had a measles outbreak, and they're like, oh, well, that was happening anyways. It wasn't him. No, it wasn't him. But why do you think there were so many people eager to hear from him? I think it was Samoa. Correct me if I'm wrong. Why do you think so many people there were eager to hear from him? Because they believed his anti-vax shit. They thought he was anti-vax. The problem with RFK is like he can say I'm not anti-vax all he wants, but everybody who loves him is anti-vax. He's absolutely an anti-vaxxer. And if you are a person who is anti-vax, I'm sorry, the data is not on your side. You are choosing to believe incomplete data. And you have every right to do that. If you don't want to be vaccinated, whatever. But you're choosing the worst data sets. So what are you curious about? You're like, oh, there could be something else. Data doesn't back it up. I'm going to stick with it now. There is no science. There is no science that says the vaccines are linked to autism. There's no science that say you shouldn't get the MMR vaccine. None. So I don't care what your opinion is. You can have it. But we don't have to pretend that these folks are up here like doing science. And RFK is now putting in a non-licensed doctor whose studies or conclusions have been debunked multiple times by double-blind placebo studies. And he's just like, well, it's all right if he gets proven wrong all the time. They're only proving him wrong because they want to make money. Thank you, Pink, for joining the Dollar Train. Jen's going to do announcements. Welcome back, Jen. Maybe. Takes a minute.
Yeah, sorry.
Hey.
I thought you had semi-done announcements, so I wasn't.
Oh, sorry.
Preparing.
Go ahead, do your thing.
When you started mentioning something, I'm like, oh, he's covering it. Anyway, so we've got about 2 hours left of the show. We do this each day, Monday through Friday, from 9:30 to 1 Pacific time. So if you look in the top left-hand corner, you see the rest of our gift goals. So this is our job, as much as conservatives and MAGA in the chat don't like it. So
I didn't know we had
PayPal, Super Chats.
I didn't know we had so many anti-vaxxers here. Look at these. I didn't know. The anti-vaxxers are here. Sorry, guys.
I mean, yeah, anyway, people just go around licking doorknobs and stuff, I guess. If you're so pro your immune system. But whatever. If you haven't already subscribed to us on Twitch, you can do so with your Amazon Prime sub, and you can hit the subscribe button over on YouTube. We've also got 4 different memberships if you'd like to join our, do they call it a team or just a member?
Member.
Okay. I'm not sure what the term is exactly. Also, if you're on YouTube, if you guys could like the live, that would be fantastic. The little red heart, wherever it is on your screen, we would appreciate that. If you disagree with Jay, how to have a conversation with him is if you look at the Venmo username Jenn JENN the number 1. Message me in Discord. That's my Discord username, and I can bring you on and talk to Jay. You can also check out our link tree. It should be in both of the bios for both platforms. We're all over different socials, and we have some merch. So that's how you could do that. What do you call a Frenchman getting attacked by a cat?
A Frenchman being attacked by a cat. I'm not sure.
Claude.
Stupid. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy to see like the anti-vaxxers here that are like, oh, the pharmaceuticals are driven by profit. Yeah, so are the supplement companies. All the supplements that you're taking, they're also driven by profit. And these people like Dr. Oz and RFK Jr., they get paid by those supplement companies, and those have no studies on them. None. The FDA regulations on them are basically nothing. In fact, they're required to say like, whoa, we didn't prove any of this. Every one of their supplements that they hawk on their websites, there's like in the disclaimer, it's like, oh, this has not been proven effective for whatever we claim. We're not making any real claims about this. They just grift you. At least like with pharmaceuticals, you have to prove its efficacy. And at least it goes through FDA trials. At the very least, like it's wild to me to say people like, oh, I take this supplement and so I'm good. Okay, well, there's no scientific backing for that. So even if you're right, you just fucking guessed. Right? Like, and I think that what a lot of you like is like, my gut instinct was right on this. I didn't have to do any real research. All right, we're done with that. We can come back to some of this stuff later, but I want to get into this banana republic that we live in. Banana republic is very, very overused. Thank you, Marianne, for the super chat. We use it. We've been using it incorrectly. It gets used incorrectly. It's used a lot to describe like lawfare against a particular political party. What a banana republic really is, and you can decide whether or not this is a banana republic or not, but what a banana republic really is one person winds up taking control of their own checks. And that's where we're kind of at with that's where we're guessing we're at with Trump right now. We'll find out what the Supreme Court is going to do. But currently, we have an administration who has been ordered by the Supreme Court to do something, and they're saying no. And more importantly, they are going out and saying, actually, the Supreme Court told us the opposite. They're just lying to the American people about what the Supreme Court said, and then they're saying, yeah, we're not going to do it. That's a banana republic. That is a country that is not following their own laws. That's the correct usage of it. What we're seeing right now is the correct usage of it. And MAGA, you can be here and you can say like, oh, well, the courts are wrong. Doesn't matter. They cannot be wrong in this instance. They can't. It's their fucking job to rule. Right? So the whole reason we have checks and balances is so when the court rules something, you have to do it. And maybe they'll change their mind later on down the road. But the way our government operates is through checks and balances. And for the first time in our lifetime, for the first time probably actually in anybody's lifetime that's here, the federal government, the executive branch specifically, is saying, I don't fucking care. I don't care what the courts say. I don't care what Congress says. We're going to do whatever we want. And so you can agree with Trump. You can like what Trump's doing, but you are supporting fascism. You are supporting an authoritarian. You are anti-Constitution. You no longer like the Constitution. And that's just reality. Because the Constitution says that it is the court's job to rule. And if you say, I only like the court's ruling, or I only adhere to the court's rulings when I like them, you are no longer a party that supports the Constitution. So just own it. You are fascist. There's no way around this. We can't even argue this anymore. If you think that one guy can ignore Congress and the Supreme Court, then we're just doing fascism. You're just saying, yeah, he can do it because I agree with it. You never were. Yeah, I've been saying this about Republicans the whole time I was a Republican, and now. This idea that they are loyal to the Constitution, that they are strict constitutionalists, is fucking bullshit. It always has been. They use it as a tool to point to other people. Even when the Supreme Court rules against them, they're like, oh, those Supreme Court justices, they don't like the Constitution. Yes, that's what they do. They rule. That's their job. That's the role of the Supreme Court. So that's where we are now. 60 Minutes has been incredible. I applaud 60 Minutes. I applaud CBS. I applaud their producers, because no matter how many times they get threatened by Donald Trump, they're calling his bluff. They're saying, do something about it then. We have the freedom of speech. We are the press. We can report things that you don't like. Do something about it. And he might. He might, but he will be exposed as a dictator at that point. And I think a lot of you will stick with him. Incredible reporting here. Here's them with Zelensky this weekend.
Trump called you a dictator. And
there it is. There it is. Jay, the Supreme Court voted 9-0 what Trump did with deporting illegal immigrants was legal. No. They voted 9-0 that he had to return them. What they said is that the president gets to determine what our policies are, but they can't ignore due process. You're repeating Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller said, oh, the Supreme Court ruled 9-0. You're wrong. This is Crazyville that we fucking live in right now. This is why we're afraid of Donald Trump, is because of goddamn morons like you. That's not what they ruled. They ruled that he had to return this man. And Stephen Miller stood there in front of the press and said, no, they ruled the opposite. And when the press tried to correct him, they are shut down by this administration. And here you are repeating the lie that Stephen Miller is telling. You're doing exactly what I'm talking about. And this is why we're fucked. Donald Trump can look up at the sun and tell you it's the moon. And you're like, that's the moon. You will believe anything. This is embarrassing. This should be embarrassing to you. Look at all the Republicans here. Look at all of them. You don't know what the ruling was? You don't know that they ruled that they had to bring him back to the United States? The only reason any of you guys are saying 9-0 is because one guy, Stephen Miller, lied to you, and you took it at face value. And some of you are getting mad at me right now. Oh, this guy's hysterical. Yeah, because I didn't know we were this goddamn dumb. I honestly thought more of some of you. But the source, give me the source. What's your source? It's Stephen Miller. That's your source. And then Trump repeated it. You're just like cut and paste, guys. Here's your thoughts. Okay, I'll put them in my head and out they come my mouth. Thanks for the thoughts, Chief. You should be embarrassed. Honestly, we've never been this place. We've never been here in this country where whatever is true is just the opposite. That's what this administration, here's the ruling. Who said that? It's in black and white. That's correct. This is in black and white. And let's read the ruling. On March 15th, 2025, the United States removed Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia from the United States to El Salvador, where he is currently detained in the Center for Terrorism Confinement. The United States acknowledges that Abrego Garcia was subject to a withholding order forbidding his removal to El Salvador, and that the removal to El Salvador was therefore illegal. The United States represents that the removal to El Salvador was the result of an administrative error. The United States alleges, however, that Abrego Garcia has been found to be a member of the gang MS-13, a designated foreign terrorist organization, and that his return to the United States would pose a threat to the public. Abrego Garcia responds that he is not a member of MS-13 and that he has lived safely in the United States and his family for a decade and has never been charged with a crime. On Friday, April 4th, the United States District Court for the District of Maryland entered an order directing the government to facilitate and effectuate the return of Abrego Garcia to the United States by no later than 11:59 p.m. On Monday, April 7th. On the morning of April 7th, the United States filed this application to vacate the district court's order. The Chief Justice entered an administrative stay. That's what you guys think is the win, was the administrative stay. But what this order actually says is that is illegal. What they did was illegal. It does not rule in favor of the Trump administration. Black and white, there's the fucking order. Read it. None of you have read this. Or your reading comprehension is horrendous. And I just read it to you, you're still not going to believe me. Hey, Howdy said we need to add an amendment to the Constitution to jail a president who doesn't follow the court's rulings. Yeah. Well, we have impeachment, but if he owns the House and the Senate, good luck. Somebody said CBS is being sued for billions. Yeah, Trump is saying he's suing them, and they're calling his bluff. That's what CBS is doing right now. They're like, we don't care. Why is Trump suing CBS? Because they made Kamala look smart and made him look dumb, is what he says. It couldn't possibly be that he just looks dumb. He's just suing them because they are doing counter-programming to him. And you guys support that. They're right here, by the way. They're right. Donald Trump is repeating Russian talking points. He's doing it today. I'll show you in a minute. He's doing it today. He repeats lies that Russia tells him in the Oval Office. And the only reason you guys don't believe that is because you love him. You are such fucking cucks. This guy, if Donald Trump showed up to your house and said, give me a handski, every one of you would do it, and you do it with a smile on your face. Have a Trump bukkake. Yeah. How is it? The whole fucking world can see this war for what it is, except for two people, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Everybody in the world agrees, like, oh, Vladimir Putin wants to take Ukraine, invaded Ukraine, started a war. We should help Ukraine. The only two people who seem opposed to that are Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, and they're saying the exact same thing. So is that's what you're saying? The whole world's just wrong? Somehow we missed that Ukraine started this war? Trump says that Ukraine started the war. In what fucking world did Ukraine start this war? Are you out of your goddamn minds, Republicans? Get it the fuck together, for real. This is embarrassing. The whole world is laughing at us, and it's because of you fucking idiots. All because you have such a hard-on for Donald Trump that you can't face reality. You can't face the reality that this guy is just fucking stupid. Everybody else knows it. They're all mocking him. We're getting our dicks kicked in on trade. We're getting our dicks kicked in when it comes to our understanding of war and who starts wars. We can't even take care of our people. We got people dying of fucking measles in this country right now. We're on the verge of a recession like we've never seen before, probably another economic collapse. And you guys, Donald Trump is the best. And when you guys don't say nice things about Donald Trump, we say silly things like you have a smooth brain. Cool. And you do it from the comments because you're all fucking stupid too. That's why none of you can come up here and debate any of this. You don't have anything to back it up. It's just insults because you're fucking stupid. And that's who's left. That's who's left following Donald Trump. Stupid people. Everybody on your side of the aisle that has any ability to think for themselves has abandoned Donald Trump. And they're doing it carefully. They're doing it in a way that like they're trying not to lose you. They need you to keep watching. So they're just like slowly trying to poison the well so that you can figure out like, oh, maybe he's an idiot. But everybody on your side with any brain at all is distancing themselves from Donald Trump right now. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? How come Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson, how come they all sound different than you? How come they all sound different than Trump right now? How come the whole world sounds different than Trump? The answer is evident. You guys say because they're afraid of what Donald Trump's going to do. Yes. But what he tells you he's going to do is uncover corruption, and they don't want to be exposed for being corrupt. That's not what anybody's afraid of. They're afraid of a dumb guy running the world. And he is a dumb guy. He's remarkably dumb. And you have to be remarkably dumb to agree with him, honestly. Because he lies every fucking day. The fact that he is out here saying that Ukraine started this war goes to show you just how dumb he is. Because even if he knows that he's lying, that's a bad wager to make because people have eyes. Nobody, like the majority of Americans will go, no, sorry, dude. That's a bridge too far. Only the cultists will sit there and be like, yeah, he's right. FOD, definitely unprecedented time to raise my kids in. Yeah, that's fucking for sure. Thanks, Jen. I may get to those sources in a bit. All right. After watching CBS, just point out that Donald Trump's a fucking liar when it comes to Ukraine. He decided he goes on a truth tirade, and there we go again. By the way, there's your president. Your president, when he hears something he doesn't like, he runs to the internet and writes out a long tweet. Yeah, that's the sure sign of a stable genius. I don't like what they said. I'm going to tweet about them, and I'm going to threaten to sue them. Almost every week, 60 Minutes, which is being sued for billions of dollars for fraud they committed in the 2024 election with their interview of failed presidential candidate Kamala Harris, mentions the name Trump in a derogatory. He talks about himself in the third person. This is a crazy person. How are we still doing this? They edited an interview for Time, and he's still talking about it. He cannot let it go. Because if you compared his interview and Kamala's interview, he did look dumber. And I think he knows that, so he's still mad. And I'm going to call myself Trump. This weekend's broadcast tops them all. It wasn't a broadcast. They did not one, but two major stories on Trump. One having to do with Ukraine, which I say is a war that would have never happened if the 2020 election had not been rigged. In other words, if I were president, and the other story was having to do with Greenland. What? And the other story was having to do with Greenland. God damn, he abandoned that. Casting our country is led by me falsely, inaccurately, and fraudulently. What does that even mean? Like, these sentences don't make sense. What's he claiming here? What was fraudulent about that conversation we just saw? Why was he mad about that? I am so honored to be suing 60 Minutes. Oh my goodness. What an honor it is to be a whiny little bitch. They said mean things about me, and it's the honor of my lifetime to sue them. And you guys are cheering it on. Yeah. If you say mean things about Trump, you should be sued. Every last one of you would support a lawsuit against me right now. If YouTube took me down right now, every last one of you would support it. You are not free speech. You're in a fucking cult. None of you want free speech. You only like speech that dick rides for Trump. And you should be embarrassed about that, but you're not. Again, it's just though because you're stupid. I am so CBS fake news and Paramount over their fraudulent beyond recognition reporting. They did everything possible to illegally elect Kamala, including completely and corruptly changing major answers to interview questions, which Fox News did. Notice he's not suing Fox News. They cut his whole answer out. Remember, what was the question they asked him on Fox? It was about the Epstein files. Remember that? They're like, will you release the Epstein files? And he's like, yeah, probably. Well, actually, no, I'm not going to release the Epstein files because too many people will be caught up in it. And they just did the yeah, probably, and they cut out the rest of the... They cut out where he changed his answer. That was far more fraudulent than anything CBS did. All CBS did is they asked the same question twice, and they edited in the smaller answer for the promo, so it would fit the promo. It's the same answer. One is just in longer form. So they moved the shorter answer into the promo. So, like, at worst, what CBS did is took an answer and shortened it. And then when you actually watch it, it plays the answer in its entirety. The problem is I don't know if Trump ever watched it. He just watched the promo. All right. They are not a news show, but a dishonest political operative simply disguised as news, which is legal. You can fucking do that. Fox News has made that argument in court. We are not news at Fox News. We are entertainment. And nobody should take us seriously. That is literally Fox News' argument. So we know that that's legal. So even if this was true, it's legal and must be responsible for what they have done and are doing. Well, it's legal. So what do you mean? They should lose their license. Hopefully the FCC commission is headed by its highly respected chairman, Brendan Carr, will impose the maximum fines and punishment, which is substantial for their unlawful and illegal behavior. CBS is out of control at levels never seen before, and they should pay a big price for this. Make America great again. How do you see How are we here? How are we at a place where the leader of our country is threatening news organizations with fines and their licenses because they report negatively about him? I do not care what your opinions are. Fox News should not lose their license. They lie every day. If Fox News lies and it harms people, they should be sued. But we should not be shutting down people who disagree with the president. Where's the Republicans here? So, where are we? How are we defending this, Republicans? I got you guys riled up today. Like, how are we defending this? Raise your hand, Republicans, if you think CBS should be removed. If they should lose their license and be taken off TV. I just want to see by raise of hands by Republicans in the chat. Give me a thumbs up or a raised hand with an emoji. Let's see. How many of you agree with that? I'll wait for it. I'll check messages while we're waiting real quick. Thank you for new subscribers. Oh, we got quiet in the chat. Oh, they're just going to insult me instead. There we go. Defund net. Look at it. They won't even answer the question. What cowards? Answer the fucking question, will you guys? Answer the question. Do you support Donald Trump taking down CBS? Do you support his idea that CBS should lose their license? Okay, there we go. So CFH doomed. There we go. One of you has some courage. Just one of you. I did see somebody said nope. I like that. Good job, MAGA. I only want to hear MAGA, though. Who should... Are you guys cool with this? Soy boy, there's more insults. I'm here, a conservative, no removal, but they need to drop the news label if found to be fraud peddlers. Why? What fraud? What fraud there? If you get rid of all propaganda, what will Republicans watch? Yeah, it got real fucking quiet, didn't it? Got real quiet in here. You guys know. And I know that a lot of you are just like trolls and you don't like that we're pointing this out. But there's even a couple of you who are willing to say, yeah, anybody who speaks poorly of Donald Trump should be removed. They should lose their license. That's pretty fucking crazy, guys. That's a dictator. And by the way, the people he hired, Brendan Carr is a Trump loyalist who has already agreed to do whatever Donald Trump says. So when he says, hopefully Brendan Carr does this thing, he's telling Brendan Carr to do this thing. That's what he's doing. Stand by that. Stand 10 toes down. Don't be little bitches, MAGA. Don't be little bitches and back away when something's uncomfortable and start insulting me instead. Address it. Look at what's staring you in the face right now. It's not going to get better. None of this is going to get better. This is he just signed an executive order also to now go after this guy. This is what's his name? God, how did I forget his name already? I think I wrote it down. Miles Taylor. This is Miles Taylor, who wrote a book about Donald Trump. And now Donald Trump is signing executive orders to go after somebody who wrote a book that's negative about him. Real quick, do you think that that people who write books that are negative about Donald Trump should have the Justice Department come after them? Hands up, Republicans, if you think that writing negative books about Donald Trump should have the Justice Department look after you. And by the way, give me an example. Give me an example of Biden doing this. Give me an example of Obama doing this. Give me an example of Clinton, Jimmy Carter. Find me an example of a president targeting an author of a book that is critical of them.
He's an idiot. He's just an idiot. When Donald Trump was president, I remember crossing that threshold into the Oval Office. And not only was this guy not bringing his A game, he didn't have a game. He was winging it.
Miles Taylor and his Homeland Security Secretary Kirsten Nielsen worked for former President Trump in his administration. Trump once called Secretary Nielsen with a unique solution to stop migrants crossing the border with Mexico.
And she puts the president on speaker.
Kirsten said the anti-intellectual movement has made traitors out of dummies. Yeah, facts. Oh, goddamn, that's good. Make it a bumper sticker.
Phone. And he says that
Thanks,
down
Lenora.
at the border, he wants to explore what it would take to build a moat. And he goes off on this tangent talking about how we should actually get snakes and alligators and fill this 2,000-mile moat on the border with reptilian creatures so that if someone falls into the moat, they're facing the threat of snakes and alligators. I mean, we're just laughing. You can't make this shit up.
What are you thinking when the President of the United States is enunciating this idea?
I'm a lifelong conservative. I am more Republican than Donald Trump. He is not a conservative. But putting politics aside, engaging with the man, you realize he's an idiot.
Trump has denied knowing Taylor and said he should be prosecuted.
Denies knowing him. That's also crazy. Like, I mean, I guess he's in the room with Trump multiple times. I guess Trump just didn't pay attention to who was in the room. So we're going after CBS. We're going after journalists. We're going after people criticizing Israel. Again, nobody raised their hand on that one. Nobody raised their hand. Are we cool with this? Are we cool with the president targeting people who are critical of them? Jay said, I got to get back to work. Can y'all tell me where you work that allows you to sit and debate in the comments all day? I want y'all's job. Yeah, get a better job, Jay. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry about your job. You've been here for a while, though, in all fairness. Here we go. Here is, wait, is this the right one? Is this the one I just did? Here's Trump actually signing the executive order now. Listen to what he says here. Just, first of all, Trump doesn't read these executive orders either. What kind of moron has to have some guy read everything for him? Oh, a guy that can't read well. I remember now. Just a reminder, Trump can barely read. That's why he has hired somebody that has to read for him.
Memorandum we have for you relates to Miles Taylor. You may recall that Miles Taylor served in the Department of Homeland Security during your previous administration. In his capacity with the Department of Homeland Security, he leaked classified information. He wrote a book under the pseudonym Anonymous, making outrageous claims both about your administration and about others in it. What this presidential memorandum is going to do, one, it's going to strip any active clearance that he has in light of his past activities involving classified information. It's also going to order the Department of Justice to investigate his activities to see what else might come up in that context, given his...
Okay, that's fucking dangerous. I want to be clear on this. If they were making a specific claim, which they aren't, that would be one thing. I would still probably have a problem with the way that it was directed. This executive order tells the Department of Justice to see what they can find. Just go investigate this guy's life and see what they can find and see if he perhaps did anything illegal. Is that America? Do we think that that's what the police can do? Do we want our government to say, like, hey, you know what? Anytime we don't like somebody, we're just going to go dig through their life and see if we can find something illegal. God damn, this is the problem that people had with Richard Nixon. This is why people hate the fucking CIA. This is why people hate the FBI. You were all with us on this. When Trump wasn't president, you were like, oh, dude, it's a witch hunt. And now executive order after executive order after executive order are legitimate witch hunts. These don't even compare to like the level of evidence against Trump. You can call what they did against Trump a witch hunt, but they had evidence and they had an accusation of a crime. There's no accusation of a crime here. They're not accusing him of a crime. They're saying, let's see what we can figure out. Let's find a crime. I don't care if you still like him. Could you please just stand with us right now? Could you please stand up and be like, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like the idea of the government searching for crimes for in people's lives that they don't like. This stuff takes forever to undo. Because now what happens? Trump gets investigated. You guys hire a criminal. It bothers you that he's investigated. And you're so mad that he got investigated that you hire him again. And he tells you exactly what he's going to do. I'm going to go on a revenge tour. What you voted for personal revenge. Why? You could have just had Nikki Haley. You could have just had a Republican who was going to do the things that you wanted that would benefit you. This benefits you in no way. This just moves us further down the road of authoritarianism. And then what happens when he leaves? When he leaves office and a Democrat comes in, then they have to walk on eggshells like, oh, I know Donald Trump committed a crime, but because he committed a crime and these people believe every fucking thing he says, I don't know if we can investigate him for the good of the country. Maybe we can't. This is what happened with Richard Nixon. They decided not to investigate Richard Nixon for the good of the country because when Richard Nixon got caught committing crimes, which everybody knows he did, his response was to say, it's not me committing crimes, it's everybody else. And then he started using his Justice Department to abuse people and to trail authors and newspaper writers and news personalities. I dated for a long time a girl whose grandfather was Jack Anderson. If you guys live in Washington, you may know. If you're in the D.C. area, you may know that name. He was from, I think, Washington Examiner, maybe. He was also covering the Watergate story, and he covered a lot of stories. And a lot of what he covered during that time was showing like how corrupt our government was, specifically that administration. And I talking to his son about growing up, they would have the FBI on their tail all day long. The FBI was following them, was tapping their phones, and they knew it, but they could do nothing about it. That's where we're at again. We're in a surveillance state now, where if you are critical of this guy, you are surveilled. Your phone is tapped. They dig through your life to try and find crimes. They tell you, they intimidate you, they threaten you with lawsuits. We're right back at it. And by the way, who was the architect of Nixon? Roger Stone. Who was the architect of Donald Trump? It's the same fucking architect. The same guy that turned Donald Trump into a political, I guess, a political monster. Somebody who was able to get this amount of control. He did the same thing to Nixon. They just lie to you all day long, and then when their lies are uncovered, they go after you. Because just like Nixon, they cannot admit that they did something wrong. Everything they do is warranted. That is the sign. That is the sure sign of a narcissist. You elected a narcissist, and now like people are hurting, and this will undo faith in the United States government more than it already was. Reestablishing our government as trustworthy is going to take decades. And most of the stuff that you guys believe about what our government did towards him are lies. This is just a criminal. He's just a career criminal. He's been a criminal his entire life. He's a criminal right fucking now. And he's running literally a crypto pump and dump scheme, and he got rid of the department that investigates it. And he let a bunch of other criminals off the hook too who were doing what he did because he has to. Because if they're not allowed to scam you, then he can't. So he's just letting the scammers go free. He's letting that Hawk Tuah girl go free. He's letting Trevor Milton, the guy who scammed everybody about his electric vehicle, go free. He's letting all of these criminals go free because he's doing the same crimes they're doing. Like, I don't think people understand how hard this is going to be to rebuild, no matter who's next. America is fucked for a long time. Our allies don't trust us anymore. The American people don't trust the government anymore. We're divided among like things that are clearly true, and half the country thinks that they're clearly false. This was a bad fucking experiment to let this guy be in charge. And here we are celebrating him saying, we're just going to track people down and we're going to figure out if they committed crimes. Why? Well, because they said mean things about me.
His egregious behavior during your previous administration.
And I had no idea who this guy was. I had no idea. I saw him on CNN, or one of them, I guess CNN, a lot. He'd be on all the time saying that the president is I had no idea. It's like, you know, in this office you have a lot of young people and they're here. I'll see him for 2 minutes, and I assume he was in the office, but I barely remember him. It was somebody that went out and wrote a book and said all sorts of terrible things that were all lies. It was this gentleman or that gentleman, like I dealt with him all the time. I had no idea who this guy. I said, who the hell is Miles Taylor? And he made a living on going on CNN talking about the president. And I think what...
Sorry, this is just the recording.
Lies, bad things.
I don't know what's going on in the Oval, but like every clip that came out of the Oval the other day is like cuts out. I don't know why. I can't find any good footage from the Oval. I don't know if the Wi-Fi was down that day or what.
And I think it's like a traitor. Like it's like spying. He walks into the office. He's supposed to be sitting here. A lot of people, I'll be here and there'll be 20 people standing in the room. There'll be oftentimes young people in the office. I assume he was one of them at least.
Is it spying? Now here's the question. He's saying that this man's a traitor and a spy because he reported on things that Trump said. You can't be a traitor and a spy if they're lies. You got to make up your mind here. If you're lying about what Trump said, then you're not a spy and you're not a traitor. You're just a liar. But if Trump is saying things and he's repeating them and Trump thinks that then makes you a traitor, well, then the follow-up question is, why is Trump saying things in front of people if he doesn't know who they are? Why is he saying top secret things in front of people that he doesn't know who they are? What he's really talking about here is a person who wasn't loyal to him. That's it. Nothing this man has done is a crime. He's not given out classified information. They vet this. And even if he had given out classified information, when he wrote his book, he gives it to, what was he? I don't remember. Was he FBI? Department of Homeland Security. Department of Homeland Security lawyers have to clear all this stuff. And it went through the appropriate checks. So even if something slipped in there that was classified, it's not really his role. He did it the right way. He went through the checks of Homeland Security. The lawyers gave him the okay on it, and he published the book. This is just a guy who punishes you for not being loyal, which is why you guys are all afraid of him too. And which is why you're all afraid of like turning against MAGA, because all your friends will abandon you, and you fucking know it. You know how I know it? Because they abandoned me. My friends abandoned me. My family abandoned me because I didn't like Trump as a Republican. As, by the way, before I didn't like Trump, they all came to me to get understanding, because they were busy. I was involved in politics. They came to me for answers. They trusted me because they thought that that we believed the same things. So then when I started telling them truth about Trump, but they liked Trump, they didn't believe me anymore, and then they hated me. This guy forces you to be loyal to him, which is why anybody's upset right now.
But I didn't know anything about him, and he wrote a book, Anonymous, and I always thought it was terrible, and now we have a chance to find out whether or not it was terrible. But it was a work of fiction, had a lot of publicity, got himself a nice job.
Oh, you're afraid of him. You're absolutely afraid of him. When I was in a cult, I said that I loved our leader too. And then when I was out of the cult and I saw how he turned people against me, I was like, oh shit, he's evil. You just haven't figured out that he's evil yet. You haven't figured that out. You haven't figured out that what he wants from you is loyalty. And if you disagree with him publicly, you will hate him. Try it. Find out. Fuck around and find out. Figure out what you don't like about Donald Trump. Figure out a policy you don't like, and then go post it on the internet. See what happens. See how quickly the people turn on you. Try it for a week. Once a day. Just say one thing you don't like that he did. I don't think any of you have the courage to do it. I don't think you will. For 1 week, post something on the internet, on your Facebook. Donald Trump did this, and I don't like it. And do it and stand by it. Don't. If somebody's like, yeah, but he does so many other good things, don't play the game. Just say, I don't like this, and see what happens to your friends and see what your friends and family do to you. If you just say, I don't like that Trump did this, just watch. It's absolutely a cult. The way that people wind up hating Donald Trump is when they deal with people who hate them because they don't like Donald Trump. I could have given a fuck about Donald Trump. He was around the Romney campaign. He's been around Republican politics forever. He was annoying. Everybody thought he was obnoxious. He was an attention whore. He wanted the spotlight all the time. He tried to hijack a presidential campaign when Romney was running. He would just follow Romney around like a lost little puppy. Oh, I want to be on stage too. And they were like, dude, you got to go somewhere else. You're fucking this all up for us. Just stop it. You're crazy. He's just an attention whore. But see what happens. Criticize him. I dare you. Criticize him publicly and see what happens. You all know the answer to this. I'm not telling you something you don't know. You know goddamn well if you spent 1 week, once a day, saying something you didn't like about Donald Trump, every one of your friends would turn on you.
Up with CNN or one of them. And I think we have to do something.
Yeah, he was a Democrat forever. And guess what the Democrats never did? Gave him a voice. They never put him in a position of leadership. They never viewed him as a thought leader. He just said he was a Democrat. They happily took his money, but they didn't put him on stage, did they? That was the Republicans. That was you guys. You're the only ones that gave him a voice. That's why he's there.
Something about it. You can't have that happen. If that happens to other presidents, it wouldn't be sustainable for other presidents. I seem to be able to sustain, but if that happened to other presidents, I mean, it's just unfair. And if it was a Democrat...
Bro, what does he think? You don't think people wrote books about Biden that were full of lies? Literally. The reason any of you that are here, any of you that are still here that are Republican, the reason that any of you who are here and believe the election was stolen in 2020, the only reason you believe that is because of Dinesh D'Souza, who has been forced to admit under oath that he lied, that none of that information was verifiable. Did Biden go after Dinesh D'Souza? Did any Democrats go after Dinesh D'Souza? No. Nobody did. Why? Because he's allowed to. You're allowed to make shit up if you're an author. You're allowed to do it. I've never seen anything discrediting what Miles Taylor said. The reason Donald Trump is mad at Miles Taylor is because Miles Taylor doesn't kiss his ass. That's it.
Correct, President. I'd say that's a terrible thing. A thing like that can happen. That's a terrible thing. And it's time to find out whether or not somebody can do that. Can they write a book?
Sorry, just...
And, because they happen to be one of a lot of people in a room, and they go out and write a book, and worse than that, call it anonymous, like it's a big deal.
Of course you can write a book anonymously. This is fucking America. Do you hear what this guy's saying? Do you think it's okay for people who work in an administration to write a book anonymously, and we just shouldn't imprison them? Yeah, personally I do. I think you should be able to write a book about your experience and be anonymously. Yeah, that's fine. I'm cool with all of that. It happens all the time. It's been happening forever.
And everybody's saying, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Then it was found out who he was a long time later. And he got a lot of publicity off that one. He's like a promoter. But we're going to find out whether or not somebody's allowed to do that. I think it's a very important case, and I think he's guilty of treason, if you want to know the truth. But we'll find out. And I assume we're recommending this to the Department of Justice.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they already said that, you dumb fucking moron. Now Miles Taylor's going to be investigated for writing a book. They have no allegation of crime, no evidence of a crime. They are investigating to find a crime. This is scary shit, guys. This is scary shit. This is how you wind up in with Russia. And it's crazy that you think that this is just going to work out well for you. When somebody wants power so badly that they will abuse the federal government to maintain power and to silence critics, it doesn't end well for you either. Like, sure, you can be a Trump sycophant your whole life. You can be. I mean, they have people in Russia who are loyal to Vladimir Putin, but you want to live in Russia? That's what we're setting up here. That's the attempt. Let's see. Thank you. Let's get here. Here is Sarah Longwell. She's the founder of Bulwark. I think she put this in words better than I can about really what we're looking at. And by the way, share these clips. If you're in the Discord, share these clips with your friends and your family, because we're at the starting stages of a roundup. We're already rounding up people illegally. We're already deporting people illegally. We're already unjustly investigating people. And Trump, which I'll get to in a minute, is now saying we should do it to American citizens too.
But what is your sense of the political...
I don't go live in Russia. Yeah. Why don't you guys go live in Russia? Good idea. Go live in Russia. Go live in Russia. You guys love Russia so much. Why don't you guys go there? You and Trump can go.
...backdrop against which all of today's events have taken place?
Well, first of all, let me just say how insane it is that the mechanism by which he is attacking these people is an executive order. Why would that be? I mean, it's one thing if he wants to be upset or he wants to pursue litigation if he thinks claims have been made, but to sign an executive order attacking these people, especially Chris Krebs. I mean, Chris Krebs, all he did was rebuke the president's false claim that the election wasn't stolen as somebody in his administration. And here's what Trump is trying to do. Look, I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot to say that executive order also targeted Chris Krebs, who was hired by Trump, worked for Trump, was Trump's guy, and now he wants to investigate it because he said that's the guy who said it's the most safe and secure election in American history, which has been backed up by every audit that has been performed. Well, I think that there's this misunderstanding from Republicans because they found things that were outliers, or they found instances of people who were registered to vote who shouldn't be able to vote, or they found instances of people who voted that legally couldn't vote. I think that it's the first time you've ever looked at this. And so it does seem alarming. I actually kind of get why it worked on Republicans, because most of the time we don't talk about how many people try to illegally vote in this country. And I don't mean like just non-citizens. I mean people who try and vote twice. The thing is, we have systems that catch all this. So all the numbers, every story that you've heard about somebody voting illegally, or the amount of people who voted twice, or the amount of people who voted illegally, the reason we know those numbers is because our system is so good that it catches them so that the vote doesn't count. So ironically, your argument, your whole side's argument of why the election was stolen, why you believe the election was stolen, is based on a collection of data of people who tried to vote, who couldn't vote, and their votes didn't count. Do you see the problem with your proof there? Is your proof is like, oh, you guys cheated. Look at all these numbers. Yeah, those votes didn't count. That's the point. That's why Chris Krebs said it's the safest and most secure election we've ever had. Because there was no widespread voter fraud, but the instances of voter fraud that we found were found before the election, and those votes didn't count. They just get you, they get you all like worked up about this so that you think election fraud's a real thing. And that's why when they pass the SAVE Act, which makes it very difficult for married women to vote, you don't care. Because you think it's a broken system that has to be fixed, and so sorry, we got to do some harsh things. But the system wasn't broken. It doesn't need to be fixed, and we don't need to do harsh things. You have Republicans pulling strings that understand a few things. People in big cities are more likely to be progressive. Women are more likely to be progressive. Immigrants are more likely to be progressive. Black people, more likely to be progressive. So what they do is they try and make it more difficult for all of those groups of people to vote. And is there ever anything directed at white men? Never. Never. The SAVE Act makes it more difficult for married women to vote. It does not make it more difficult for married men to vote. And now married women have to take extra steps to make sure that they legally can vote in their state. Even if 90% of women that are going to be affected by this go through those steps, there's going to be 10%, 5%, 20%, 30%, whatever the percentage is. There's going to be a percentage of people who lost their ability to vote because either they forgot to do it, they didn't have time, they were unaware of it, and on voting day, their vote won't count. That's silly. All based on this lie that the election was stolen. And now the people who can prove that the election wasn't stolen, who worked for Donald Trump during that time and said, no, it wasn't stolen, now those people are being threatened. It's saying, shut the fuck up. Don't you dare tell. You shut up or we're coming after you. Fortunately for us, these people aren't shutting up.
How much of it you never know with Donald Trump. Is he trying to distract you like a guy with a laser pointer and the media is a bunch of cats? Is he trying to get people to chase things so they stop talking about the fact that he caved and did a total about face on the tariffs after telling us for days
That's
that
true, Adam.
he
Good
wasn't
point.
going to do a pause?
That's true. It has not passed in the Senate. Thank you, Adam. And I don't think it'll pass in the Senate either. That's a good point. But that's what they want to do. Thanks for clearing that up.
And now he's suddenly pausing because the world economy is collapsing. Is he doing this as a distraction?
Rosie O'Donnell's wrong. She's wrong about the election being stolen.
I don't know, but on its face, it is incredibly pernicious for him to sign executive orders and launch investigations into people simply for speaking out against what they saw from his administration. And also what he was saying there as though it's like highly unusual. Look, lots of books get written by people who are insiders in administrations who talk about the things that happened in the rooms. That's actually very common. That's what reporters do. And what he's trying to do here, though, is to make people afraid of speaking out against him. Not just people from before, but people who are there now. People who have an understanding of what he's doing and who, as people are looking for insight, he's saying, if you leak, because people leak against Trump all the time. I mean, nobody leaks against Trump more because people inside are trying to make Trump not do crazy things, right? By telling the media he's about to do crazy things. And so leaking is like a mechanism for them to curb some of Trump's worst impulses. And so he's trying to make people afraid by saying he's going to launch investigations into anybody who speaks out. I mean, this is some of the most insane authoritarian stuff we've seen out of him.
It's the most authoritarian president that we've ever had, and by miles. There were other presidents who wanted to, like, almost the fact that Trump lost in 2020 and had 4 years to regroup and vet people and bring on a regime that wouldn't care if he was authoritarian, it almost hurt us more. Like we might have actually been better off. I hate saying this, but we might have been better off had Trump just won in 2020. We would have struggled. We would have had a recession. Everybody would have turned on him by now. The Republicans would have lost in 2024. It would have been a nightmare for them. They wouldn't get power back for a while. Like looking back with hindsight, it might have been better for us if he just won in 2020, because there were at least people around him still who were willing to stand in his way and give him good advice. Those people are long gone. So here is Miles Taylor. He's talking about something I hadn't heard of. I had never heard this reference before. I've looked it up now. It is apparently a real thing. There's something that colloquially is called a doomsday book. Basically, it's a book for the executive branch that says, like, if we have Armageddon, here's kind of how you here's how you go about dealing with it. A lot of it has to do with being authoritarian, subverting the Constitution. Jen, are you here? Oh, no, never mind. That's a saw outside. I thought I heard something in my headphones. But here is Miles Taylor explaining it with, I know I just shit on this guy earlier, but Michael Cohen. He's on Michael Cohen's podcast. I'm not a fan of Michael Cohen, just to be clear here.
Michael, in writing this book, I wanted to paint a very clear-eyed picture of what a second Trump administration would look like if he retook the White House, and again, what it would look like if a copycat took the White House. So rather than people just listening to me and what my opinion would be from my 2 years, in the executive branch during the Trump administration and dealing with the man, I wanted to go interview other senior officials that worked with Trump in the White House and at every department and agency, every major department and agency, and senior Republicans on Capitol Hill, and ask them and their words to describe what Trump would have won, what he would have done if he won re-election, and what he would do a second go around. The Doomsday Book was one of the more alarming things that I was told, and this had never been reported previously. And here's the short version of the story: is in 2020, as Donald Trump was getting closer to the re-election, he could have potentially accessed a tool that would have allowed him to cement a coup. Now, what is this tool? Well, there's a little-known book, this book called the Doomsday Book by national security officials, that's kept at the White House for the most extraordinary moments if the nation's under threat: a nuclear war, an armed foreign invasion, and it's the responsibility of one top staffer on the National Security Council to protect this book. Now, when I was doing interviews for Blowback, I was told that they actually went out of their way to try to keep the president from being aware of the contents of the book, from being aware of the most extraordinary powers that the president has in those circumstances, because there was worry in the White House that Trump or one of his MAGA allies would try to misuse those national security powers. And then there was this extraordinary moment in the lead up to the election where the White House almost installed a MAGA loyalist named Christina Bobb into that job on the National Security Council. Now, some of your listeners may know Christina Bobb as one of Donald Trump's current lawyers, someone who was on the One America News Network as a hardcore MAGA, talking head. And she was almost placed in that position. Now, what the White House did not know is that if they placed her in that position, she would have had access to one of the most sensitive emergency manuals in the entire government, this Doomsday Book. And as we later found out, Christina Bobb was involved directly in the efforts to overturn the election. Thankfully, this was thwarted. People stopped Christina Bobb from getting named to this position. But we were basically that close from one of Trump's closest allies from knowing he had these extraordinary powers, which he could have easily deployed to prevent the transfer of power in 2020. That was something really worrying to me. And it made me think back, Michael, to when I was still in the administration, and Trump thought his most extreme power was the Insurrection Act. He'd been told about it. He called it his magical authorities. And at one point in 2019, he wanted to write in the State of the Union that he was invoking the Insurrection Act to go deploy the military to the border to stop migrants from coming in. But if he had done that, which we stopped him from doing it, but if he had done that, there's no telling where he might have used his Insurrection Act powers. And of course, as we know,
I think one of the most shocking things that Trump does and that he's allowed to get away with from his supporters is that if he personally feels upset about something, or if he's personally mad about something that somebody said, or if he personally feels attacked, he projects that as the country. And this is just true. There's not really an argument for this. When Donald Trump says things like the Justice Department is weaponized against conservatives, it's not true. It was not weaponized against him. It was not weaponized against conservatives. Joe Biden's son was investigated for 4 straight years and pled guilty and then was found guilty by the Justice Department under Joe Biden. Joe Biden was under investigation. Well, not under investigation, was being investigated by Congress for 4 straight years. Joe Biden sat with Robert Hur for I think it was like 16 hours? I always mix up him and Hillary Clinton, but for hours with Robert Hur. He allowed his house to be investigated. You know how everybody complains about Mar-a-Lago being raided? Mar-a-Lago was only raided because Trump wouldn't let him come there and check. And Joe Biden said, come on in. And Mike Pence said, come on in. In fact, they called. They said, hey, you may want to come check. I don't want to be in this. I don't want to look like that guy. I don't want to look like somebody who's hiding something. Come on in, check. I'll answer any questions that you have. Let's get this done. The only reason Trump says it was weaponized against him is because things that usually don't require the FBI are required for Trump, because he won't follow any rules. The reason that you had the Stormy Daniels case is because he and Michael Cohen, the guy who's doing this podcast, committed crimes together. And nobody else has ever done that. Nobody else has ever taken campaign finances, paid off a porn star, and then lied about where that money came from, and then tried to hide it through lawyer expenses. No other sitting president had ever fraudulently run their business for 40 years. And the reason Trump got caught in all of these crimes is because he's such an egomaniac that he ran for president and he ran his mouth and he pissed off a lot of people. And in this country, if you're rich, you're allowed to cheat on your taxes. We don't do shit about that. We don't have the IRS doing anything about rich people cheating on their taxes. It's just part of being an American. If you get rich enough, you don't have to pay taxes anymore. You can just cheat all day long. But if you're rich and you cheat on your taxes and then you go brag about it on TV and tell Hillary Clinton on a debate stage, yeah, I don't pay taxes because I'm smart, then you're going to have some people go, are you smart though? Are you? Let's take a look. And then they looked at his taxes. It turns out, not that smart. Just a rich guy. And he was protected forever. Rich people in this country, every time they do their taxes, they break the law. Every fucking one of them. It was not a weaponized Justice Department against Donald Trump. There was enough attention on the fact that this guy obviously broke the law that they did it. And it was a damn near impossible. If any of us did what Donald Trump did, we would be sitting in jail right now. Any of us. He got away with it because he's rich and he's powerful, and you guys don't care what he does. But this idea that he is a victim is fucking bananas. A white billionaire in America is almost never the victim. Certainly not when they're being investigated for financial crimes.
Donald Trump clearly had an interest in doing that potentially on January 6th.
Right. So describe it, though, in terms of non-emergency situations. And I bring that up because, you don't need, with Donald, to have an emergency situation, meaning you don't need to have an attack upon America on American soil. Donald will deem anything to be an emergency situation if it affects him. So just if you can, give me like a non-emergency situation that Blowback describes in terms of how he would use this, this.
I would really like it if Michael Cohen got through those sentences a little quicker.
Doomsday scenario, this doomsday book.
One of the worries from the people that I talked to, and again, keep in mind, these are people who've been appointed by the Trump administration on his National Security Council. The folks that I spoke to are worried that in a second term, Donald Trump would use these powers to influence elections.
We're not using Cohen for our facts. Imagine watching this video and thinking that Cohen is giving the facts. This is the problem with you guys. You're all fucking programmed. If somebody doesn't like Trump, you just dismiss what they say. He hasn't given any facts. He asked a question. This guy gave facts. You know, this guy who did the job. That's the problem with most of you, is that you will close your eyes if somebody doesn't already agree with you, and you'll stop listening. And Trump takes advantage of you.
Elections. So, for instance, he might target social media companies that are opposed to him. And if you, the information that's in my book about...
sorry to interrupt. Say wow, because just so you guys know, so we can cover this. I will debate any and every fucking one of you any day of the week, day or night. But you've got to get some courage and add Jen on Discord and come up here. I'm not going to debate the comments. Okay? I will debate any of you on any topic. But you have to message Jen Dub1 on Discord, and that's how we bring you on the show. So there we go. And I will continue to call you idiots, but you're welcome up here. Please. And I'm debating tonight. If you have TikTok, I'll be debating tonight. Follow me on TikTok. You can find me.
About what allegedly is contained in the Doomsday Book would allow someone like a Trump to potentially do that. So hypothetically, he could cut off access to an internet provider or a social media company that wasn't friendly towards Donald Trump. He could, as one interviewee told me, deploy the military to the polls to intimidate voters not to vote for the political opposition and instead support the MAGA side. He could potentially go and hunt down innocent people and political opponents and actually jail them under some of these authorities. I mean, this is the type of stuff, Michael, that you would imagine in some B-movie plot about a dictator overtaking the United States. But the authorities that are, again, allegedly contained inside the Doomsday Book would potentially allow a Trump to act like an actual autocrat and to exercise the powers that he wanted to. And that deploying of troops onto U.S. soil is...
Let's stop it there, because and then Jen's going to come up in a minute. Let me just close out this. What Trump does really, really well, and I think this is probably indisputable, is that Trump gets people so worked up about things that either aren't real or are not as real as he makes them think. And he tells you things like immigrants are ruining the country and that violent criminals are taking over our country. And this is where Democrats lost the messaging race, and I don't know if I have the answer for it. Maybe I don't. But you can look at the 2024 election in when it comes to immigration, and you can see what happened. Donald Trump says they're poisoning our blood, they're ruining our country. Democrats say, statistically, immigrants commit crime at a lower rate than American-born citizens. And Republicans say, here's an example. Republicans say, what was that? What's the girl's name that they always say? Son of a bitch, I'm bad with names. Help me out with the name. The girl that was murdered by somebody who was here illegally. Who was that? Help me with the name. Riley, Laken Riley. Thank you. God, that's bad. They will give you an example. They will say, Laken Riley, oh, look at these apartment complexes in Aurora. Oh, look at these people eating dogs and cats. They use imagery. Like this is what propaganda is, and I don't think that you guys realize it. I don't think Republicans know what propaganda is. It is not propaganda to say statistically immigrants commit crimes at a lower rate than American-born citizens. That's not propaganda. That's data. Now, you could discuss why. You could say maybe there are certain people who come from certain places. If you're coming from a place in Venezuela, for example, that happens to be a city that's run by gangs, and you show up, like, yeah, that person statistically is probably more likely to commit a crime. But the problem that we have in America is that stories seem to beat data regularly. So the story that immigrants are causing all these problems doesn't line up with the data. But if you give somebody data that's on the other side of that argument, they're like, oh, so you just want people to die? Oh, so you're cool with Laken Riley? Oh, so you're cool? Oh, so people can just come into your house and live there? No, that's not what we're saying. The problem is we don't argue about the same things. On the right, you guys are fed a steady diet of fear. And on the left, I don't know what MSNBC is talking about, actually. I'll say that. I know where you guys get your messaging from. Nobody here watches MSNBC or CNN. I don't think that I think one of the problems we have on the left, is, at least for like people who don't consume politics, is that like we don't really have like a mainstream ideology. We don't have talking points. We don't have these catchphrases that people repeat. Like if I say right now that Donald Trump's team colluded with Russia in the 2016 election, 80% of MAGA is going to respond the exact same way. Russia, Russia, Russia. You're going to say those words. You all did. Some of you did right then. Some of you are probably deleting the word Russia right now because I just said that. Now, if I say something about Donald Trump's financial crimes, or if I say Jared Kushner got billions of dollars from the Saudis, you will say Hunter Biden. It is all whataboutism. It is all fear. It's easy to figure out your programming, but it's easy for us to figure out that programming because the programming is simple and it lets you guys think you're right without having data to back it up. And that's what's the scariest about this administration and the future of our country, is that the reality is we can agree to disagree all we want. But one side is just lying. One side is making you afraid of certain people, even when the data doesn't support that. And the other side can't figure out their messaging. And I think that that's why Democrats' approval rating is in the 20s. And I think they deserve probably lower. I don't know who the person. I'm more surprised that 21 or 26%. I would see the data differently. However, whatever percentage of people said, like, I like the Democratic Party, I would like to meet those people. Because who the fuck are those people? Who are the people that are like, yeah, we're getting it right. Yeah, we got this. What? They're doing nothing. Like, the Democrats do virtually nothing while Republicans do crazy shit. And there's nobody in America that's sane. You have the crazy shit people, and then you have the Democrats who are like, well, we kind of don't like this. And we have all these people in power who are going to do nothing for us. All right, time for announcements. Jen.
So, Joe, I'm talking to you. And you've been told this so many times. No one is a coward here. No one's scared of you. We don't have a phone number currently. How to debate. And it's pinned right now. You DM me on Discord. It's Jen. I'm talking to you, Mr. Shirtless man in your profile picture, which is really weird because you say all kinds of homophobic and transphobic shit.
I like that he
not sure what that picture is trying to.
I like that he thinks we're just going to change our whole platform to make it easier for, because he can't figure out how to download a fucking app. Yeah, if you're too stupid to download an app, we don't want to hear from you. We make it a little bit difficult on purpose.
You've been told so many times how to do this because I've replied to you many times. So that's how it's done. Discord, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just Discord. Jen, JENN, DUBB, the number 1. That's how it's done. That's how you come on. So if you grow a pair, that's how you get up and do it. If you can't pull up, then shut the fuck up. Because you cry all the time in these chats. So that's how it's done. Anyways, we've got about 45 minutes or so left of the show. We got to knock out the rest of that gift goal. It's in that top left-hand corner of the screen, or just, I guess, both. It's top left-hand corner. So we have about 45 minutes left to wrap up the rest of that goal. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all that kind of stuff help knock out the rest of the goal. This is our job. We do this every day, Monday through Friday, from 9:30 to 1 Pacific time. So if you haven't already subscribed to us, please do so. On Twitch, you can use the Amazon Prime sub. YouTube, just regular subs, and also you can use. We have 4 different memberships. If you haven't checked out our other socials, you can check out our link tree. We've got merchandise to do that. What did the egg say to the boiling water?
What did the egg say? I don't know. You're gonna make me hard.
I don't know if I'll get hard. I just got laid by a chick earlier this morning.
That's pretty good. That was close. I was close on that. All right. So everybody, Joe's a bitch in the chat. Joe can't figure out how to use an app. Joe, if you're too stupid to download an app, then just you're just too dumb. You say that you get muted. Nobody's afraid of you. Get the app. Guys, mute Joe for the rest of this. Joe's got to learn a lesson. Joe, you've got to come up or you can't talk anymore. Okay. You can't call somebody afraid and then not show up anymore. So Joe, you're on mute for the rest of the live until you download Discord. In which case you can come up and I'll predict number one, that Joe never comes up because Joe's a coward. But number two, even if Joe does come up, Joe's going to scream. Joe's going to yell over me and get in his feelings immediately. And if I said something to Joe like, don't be a whiny bitch, Joe would absolutely lose his mind and threaten my life. That's just my prediction. But bye, Joe. We don't have to hear from Joe for a little bit until Joe gets some courage. This is for your, this is best for you, Joe. I know what's best for you. All right. Then we have this. Now, again, I was concerned about this clip because it cuts out. And when I first saw this clip, honest to God, I thought this clip was edited. And now I've seen it from like a million different angles, and it's the same. I don't know what's going on with the White House. For whatever reason, in the Oval Office yesterday, nobody could get a signal that didn't cut out. So I don't know. So I just want to be clear. I want to be clear on this. I've checked this video out from multiple angles, and it is real. Here is Trump and Bukele. Trump is going to say something very quietly to Bukele, which I was like, oh, that's weird. Why would he say this quietly? And then he says it out loud. I'm like, oh, it's not a secret. Here's Trump saying the quiet part out loud. Oh, I'm so sorry. I needed to read one message first. Where did that go? Sorry about that. Amy says, MAGA's always yelling about why don't you leave if you don't like it here. I wonder why MAGA didn't leave the country since they seem to hate it here till Trump got elected. I think it's a dumb argument always. I would encourage everybody never to make the argument of if you hate it, why don't you leave? Like I want people to critically examine the United States. I'm more concerned about people who think like America's perfect. We're number one, we're perfect. Everything's great. I'm more concerned about those people. I largely think people who use that argument just don't really have a counter. They just don't like that you're pointing at something that you don't like. Also, it's not easy to leave. It's not like you're at a bar and the beer is warm, so you leave. Do you know how are you going to leave? Do you have a job lined up? The country that you want to leave to, what are the immigration rules there? Can you get a work visa? Are you going to have to apply for a work visa? A lot of places have income requirements? Does the job that you do currently exist? Do you have a way to make money? Do you have a way to buy a house? Do you have a way to get housing? Do you have enough money to get there? Like, it's just a silly argument. I think it's, and I think anybody who uses that argument is probably being lazy.
Demanded the people wanted to change everything, and they wanted to. They demanded. They love you. They love what you do. I'm not sure support them. I want them to do. Homegrown criminals next. Yeah.
So it's chopping out. He said, I want to do homegrown criminals next. And that was the part I was like, it's a secret. And he's like, fuck it. I'm going to say it out loud.
They said, homegrowns are next. The homegrown's built. You got to build about 5 more places. Yeah, that's fair. All right. It's not big enough. Oh, yeah. Come on. So this is a much different office than you remember.
All right. So now he's going to show him the office. He's talking about sending United States citizens to El Salvador prisons for committing crimes. That's what he's talking about. If you commit a crime in this country, suddenly you can be removed. Like if that's not fascism, what is? How are we supporting that now? What about people who are wrongfully accused? I mean, what it wouldn't have imagine, those people Trump just pardoned, the Jan 6ers? What if we had sent them to El Salvador? What if we had sent Roger Stone, Steve Bannon to El Salvador? And they were in prison. And then when the government said, let's just say Joe Biden's president, and they're all in prison. And the Supreme Court rules, hey, Joe Biden, you can't send American citizens to El Salvador. You can't send people to a prison outside of this country because they committed a crime. And Joe Biden says, nah, I don't care. I'm just going to do it. And then you have the president from El Salvador come up and be like, yeah, what are we going to do? I can't do anything about it. That's what we have here. This administration does not care. They will send citizens to El Salvador. Wrongfully accused citizens, wrongfully convicted citizens, but citizens nonetheless. You do not lose your citizenship when you commit a crime in this country. Is that the direction we want to go now? Here's the prediction. I think I was wrong. I think I was a little bit wrong last week, but I do have some predictions. Donald Trump is starting a trade war, and he's going to lose that trade war. And at the end of this trade war, the United States is going to have to figure out how to make goods more cheaply, manufacturing specifically. And that's why he's selling the opportunity to come here and do manufacturing. And we don't have the workers for it. And we won't have the workers for it. So where will we get the workers from? Children, which we already see all these places that are building factories. Like, you'll notice that when they talk about Honda, Hyundai, GMC, they're like, oh, we're going to build these new plants. And these all happened under Biden, by the way. All these plants that have been being built because of Trump, they already announced these under Joe Biden. They're just like finally opening. It's bizarre. Trump's like, oh, they were being built the whole time I wasn't president, but now that they're finished, it was me. They are all rewriting their labor laws so that children can work, specifically in like meat packing. That's the place where they need it the most, because these meat packing places, they rely on cheap labor, and they have relied on illegal cheap labor forever. So now all these places, they're everywhere they want to give tax incentives for these massive manufacturing, they're going to rewrite children's work requirements. But that's not enough. So where are you going to get the other people to work? In this country, if you it used to be, I know you Southerners are upset about this, but it used to be in the South. If you wanted to, let's say, grow some crops, specifically tobacco or cotton, and you wanted to make a lot of money, but you couldn't do it all yourself, you could buy slaves. I think what we're going to see is we're going to turn prisons into labor camps. That's my guess. We already do it a little bit. And this idea has been floated by Christian nationalists for a long time. This idea has been floated by capitalists for a long time. That's why they want to privatize prisons, because here's what happens once you privatize a prison. There's one, you get government funding, but two, now that it's private, you don't have to keep the same laws. Now you're private. Now it's not part of the government. So now you say, tell you what, meat packing facility, we will rent you our labor. These people could now, we'll rent it to you. Maybe they get some commissary, but we already take people who are in prisons and we pay them like 50 cents an hour to do work. I think that's what this obsession with imprisoning people is all about. Because we're removing our labor, and they're saying they want to bring back American manufacturing, and it's American manufacturing that nobody wants to do. Nobody in this country wants to go work a manufacturing job. There is not a demand for manufacturing jobs. So if we're going to bring those back, we're going to need labor. And the best thing that any of these the dirty, greedy, sick fuck capitalists, those ones, not just all capitalists, but those ones, you think they give a fuck if it's a prisoner? In fact, it's probably better for them. They get to say things like, "Oh, look at us, we're helping prisoners. And they'll probably put things in there like, we're going to help them enter society in a better way." No, they just want cheap labor. And the cheap labor is gone, and China's calling our bluff. China's like, we don't care about your cheap labor shit anymore. Like, we'll sell to everybody else. This is a real fucking problem we have in America. There is no plan forward. Donald Trump's not telling you his plan going forward. Right? Who's going to work these manufacturing jobs? What are we doing with these prisoners? When he says now that he's got, homegrown terrorists are going to be put in private prisons, what's he talking about? And Bukele desperately needs money. El Salvador desperately needs money. Because the thing that we're not talking about enough in El Salvador is that, yes, El Salvador basically eliminated crime, like violent crime. But they locked up a lot of innocent people along with guilty people in order to do it. And they did lock up their labor force. The reason he gets along with Trump is because Trump's going to probably allow United States companies to go to El Salvador and use that private labor. And it'll be out of sight, out of mind. We'll take prisoners from the United States, they'll go to El Salvador, and they'll work for slave wages for massive corporations. And because it's out of sight, out of mind, nobody will care. That's exactly how China did it. That all that slave labor that you guys love to talk about, as if like, will you support it? That's what happened. Capitalists in America saw, oh, there's folks in China who will make people work for slave wages? Great. Let's take advantage of that. Why pay somebody here in America to make this when we could just pay China? And by the way, nobody in America is going to see it happen, so they're really not going to push back. Trump's plan to replace China, I think, is El Salvador and countries like El Salvador. Again, that's just a guess. But where else are we going to get the manufacturing jobs? Because I have no clue. He calls them homegrown criminals. I do want to show this story, and I'm going to show Tommy's video because I think Tommy does a good job of pointing out that this is unconfirmed and it could be all bullshit. But the story's out there enough that I think we should cover it. Here's Tommy. If you don't follow at @my_dude on TikTok, Tommy, when it comes to foreign policy, one of the best out there. Tommy's a debater, really good creator, been around for a long time. But here's a story that's pretty alarming.
What I'm about to show you is very concerning. It should be noted.
Let me check gifts, donations first before we go. 30 more minutes to hit that gift goal. So I think somebody said it. I'll check there. Tony, thank you. Said, fuck Trump and this fascist regime. Don't fuck him. You'll get a disease. Jamie said, for dealing with jerks like Joe. I didn't even know Joe. I missed all that mostly. But it keeps things going. Let's see. Denise said, here's to all the trust me bros. Good job like always, guys. And go Niners. I like that. And Megan said, for Jen calling out Joe. Did I miss that? I didn't miss that one. All right, here's Tommy. Let me start that over for you.
What I'm about to show you is very concerning. It should be noted, none of this has been confirmed. This is satellite imagery that is pretty grainy. But this is from El Salvador's Secot prison. This has been making its rounds. It hasn't got a ton of attention from what I've seen. I also have not been on this app for a minute. But some people have been speculating. We do not know, so keep that in mind. It could be a completely innocuous thing. I hope that it is. There is higher resolution satellite imagery that can be bought. As far as I know, no one has done that. This, though, is what appears to be a pool of blood. And here's some more over here, sort of running down through seemingly this building. And nobody's quite sure what this is. People have speculated that it's bodies, but we don't know. I will keep you guys updated as hopefully someone pays the nearly $1,000 it costs to get better quality satellite images. If that is worst case scenario, you'll remember that Trump is sending people to El Salvadorian prisons. So, again, it could be completely innocuous. Hope that it is. Could be that they, process their own cattle there. Could be some sort of industrial use or paint supply that they're doing. I don't know. I'll keep you guys updated as we know more.
All right. So I've heard a lot of explanations for that. It is clearly an older image. People have pulled cached images. Let me just show you what it looks like today. And this is what it looked like yesterday when I looked at it as well. Oh, my God. It changed again. Holy shit, it's back. Okay, I looked at this yesterday. Maybe I looked at Apple Maps. Maybe that's what it was. Let me look on Apple. Maybe I was using a different app. Okay, yeah. That's what it was. So let me just show you what it looks like on Apple Maps. I'm just going to hold it up in front of the screen. If you guys can see there, that's that same L-shaped building. See that? Without the stains. On the screen, though, you've got what appears. I mean, I don't know what that is. We've got no explanation there. Could be blood. Could be anything. Could be whatever. I have no idea what that is. So I'm just gonna say that I know that this is a story, and that's the only reason I covered it. I don't know what it is. Could be a lot of things, but I wanted to put it out there just so if you haven't seen it, figure it out. There's people that have. I'm sure some of you are going to do more research than me. Does anybody? Let's see. It does have the mall building to the right. Red on ground. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. That's not a prison wall, guys. This is significant. This is a significant stain, and I just don't get like Why is it there one day and not another? What else would it be? I don't know. So, anyways, that's a story out there. I wouldn't take any conclusions from that. I would not draw any conclusions. If you hear anybody definitively saying that's blood, they're lying because we don't know. Don't draw conclusions, but there it is. It's out there. I'm going to cover tariffs for the rest of the day, and then we'll get out of here. Yeah. So if you look up CECOT, CECOT, CECOT prison. Can I do Apple Maps on a PC? Does it work on a PC? No, it doesn't work on a PC. I can't use Apple Maps on here, but yeah. Anyways, looks different to me. Yeah, this is what you would call a conspiracy theory. And like all conspiracy theories, you should not definitively say that it's proof of anything until you know what it's proof of. Let's go back to Charlie Kirk, though, because I was worried we were going to run out of time. I'm going to get back. I want to point something out about Charlie Kirk that I think that where the Unfuck America tour is going to do a good job. Now, they're not going to directly confront Charlie Kirk. But all the people I know that are on Fuck America with now adding Jones and NORAD and then obviously Dean and Parker, they understand what socialism is. Charlie Kirk does not.
Are you a self-described communist?
Yeah, I'm a libertarian socialist, which is close to the rich.
So it's an inherent contradiction, a libertarian socialist.
If you want to believe that, yeah.
Explain to me how one could be a socialist.
Well, this is near and dear to my heart. When people used to ask what my beliefs were, I've consistently said I don't like subscribing to an ideology. I think that that's problematic in and of itself. But if you took my views currently, they would probably line up most with libertarian socialists. It's true. That's a real thing. I don't know why Charlie Kirk thinks it's inherently diametrically opposed to each other. They're not. Libertarian socialism is a breakoff from Karl Marx. It was the socialists who I believe didn't like that the proletariat would have a military component. They believed in a little bit more freedom. They have a little bit different view of what socialism should be. They're not opposed to each other. The only reason people think they're opposed to each other is because a lot of times people view the libertarians as far right and socialists as far left, and they think there's this wide gap between them. But political ideologies are more like a circle than they are it's not a flat earther thing, right? It's more of a globe. So they are much closer. Libertarians and socialists are far closer than libertarians and Republicans. And socialists are closer to libertarians than they are to mainstream Democrats. They are much closer together than I think some people like Charlie Kirk want to believe. And Charlie Kirk needs to say this because he wants people who identify as libertarian to think that they align with him.
Socialist.
If you want to believe that, yeah.
Explain to me how one could be a socialist and also a libertarian.
So as a libertarian, I believe in people's personal freedoms, and I think that socialism is the best way to do that. That's not really what I came here to talk about, though.
No, but it's like being a vegan meat eater. It doesn't make any sense, right? It's like saying, well, I want freedom here, but I also want the government to control every part of my life. So explain to me how a vegan meat eater would work.
So, okay. A vegan meat eater does not work. Obviously.
Well, that's a libertarian socialist saying that I value liberty, but I don't value liberty. So it's an inherent...
It's not. Socialism values liberty. This is why I have issues with Charlie Kirk, is that Charlie Kirk doesn't understand basic tenets of socialism. Charlie Kirk takes quotes from socialists out of context in order to say this is what socialism is. If you read Marx, it's just not true. This idea of liberty. I think the confusion is that Charlie Kirk thinks liberty is capitalism. He thinks liberty and capitalism are the same thing. And so when somebody says they're socialist, he believes, oh, you're not a capitalist, so you don't like liberty. That's nonsense.
Contradiction. So you got to pick one.
That's not what socialism means.
Well, socialism by definition means the eradication of personal agency and freedom, the elimination of property, the elimination of religious liberty and religious practice.
All right, let's just see. He said by definition. So we're going to pull up the definition of socialism and let's see. Move that over here. Socialism is an economic and political philosophy encompassing diverse economic and social systems characterized by social ownership of the means of production as opposed to private ownership. It describes the economic, political, and social theories and movements associated with implementation of such systems. If you want a definition, social and economic, let's see, I don't want to use Britannica. they take too long. There we go. Merriam-Webster, if we're talking about like just regular definition, any of the various egalitarian economic and political theories or movements advocating collective or governmental ownership and administration of the means of production and distribution of goods. A system of society or group living in which there is no private property. A system or condition of society in which the means of productions are owned and controlled by the state. And again, these are all different explanations of how people have interpreted socialism. At no point, though, do any of these definitions match what he just said.
Socialism, by definition, means the eradication of personal agency and freedom, the elimination of...
Literally what he said. That's what Blackout 2X said. That's not... Literally means literally. He didn't say any of that. God damn you. Oh, you guys frustrate me. You're frustratingly dumb when you say things like that. I actually get, like, it hurts me a little bit. That's literally what he said. None of the words he said are the same. It's not the same. This is saying the eradication of personal agency and freedom. No, it's not.
The elimination of the property, the elimination of...
Also wrong.
Of religious liberty and religious practice.
Also wrong.
And also government ownership, or the ownership of the means of production. By the way, don't believe me.
Also wrong. Now, some people think the government should own the means of production. There have been socialists who think that, but most socialists I know, they say like workers should own the means of production, and that the government's job is to enforce that, to make sure that workers own the means of production. Everything you just said there, except for the last part, was wrong. And the last part is a fringe group of socialists who think that the government should own the means of production. That's why Charlie Kirk is dangerous, because Charlie Kirk has hundreds of thousands of people who listen to him and think that because he can recite things like this from memory, verbatim, that they are true. Everything he just said is a lie. And it's also how Charlie Kirk debates. Charlie Kirk rattles off things, and he'll rattle off 20 things. And you're never going to have time in a debate with Charlie Kirk or the ability to go one by one and pick off each part of his argument. So then you have to argue it in totality. And this guy's like, what the fuck? Like, where do I even start? Like, all of that is wrong. And then Charlie Kirk looks like a genius to his dumbass followers because they're like, look, he didn't have an answer for that. It's like, yeah, where do you start? All of it was wrong. And if he responds, all of it is wrong, then Charlie Kirk says specifically what's wrong. And then he's not going to let him do specifically.
I mean, it's literally in the Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital. Those are the aims of Marxism and socialism.
Not true.
Yeah, the Communist Manifesto actually starts with, I, Karl Marx, believe that communism is whenever you can't pray to God or something. That's
also, do you see what he just sneakily did there? He just sneakily said communism and Marxism are socialism. They're not. Right? Like, there are different brands of socialism. Socialism and communism are not the same thing. See how he just switched it? And this guy, and this is why I'm glad it'll be Dean and Parker if they can get to debate him, because whoever this is, like, they weren't really ready for that. They're correcting the wrong part of the argument. He just changed it from communism and Marxism from socialism. He just totally changed the subject because he doesn't understand the difference in any of it.
Not what it's about, obviously.
Well, no, but he did say that religion was the opiate of the masses. And he said that the goal of communism is to eradicate people's attachment to religious assembly.
But we were talking about socialism, so now why are we talking about communism, Charlie Kirk? See how he does this? And people that don't debate for a living, they get very confused because they think he's debating in good faith here. And so they're responding to what he says, and they don't realize that he just pulled the rug out from under him. Now I'm going to make you defend communism instead of socialism. I gave you an incorrect definition of socialism, and now, as we continue, now I'm going to make you defend communism instead.
Introduce yourself with an inherent contradiction. So it's like gays for Palestine, vegan meat eaters.
Also, gays for Palestine makes sense, right? They do this thing like, oh, well, if you're in Palestine, they mistreat gay people. They still, like, there's a lot of people that mistreat people. There's a lot of people who I don't like. I still think they have rights. I still think they have the right to live. So you can be a gay person for the Palestinians, and she's like, hey, I don't think that you should murder Palestinians. Well, they don't like gay people. Okay, but I still don't think you should murder them. You know what I mean? Like, this is how disingenuous this guy is, and unfortunately, he's very effective. He has indoctrinated a lot of people, and he's taught a lot of people to argue in a way that doesn't make any fucking sense and that you can't really debunk because he's not really saying anything. He's just moving the goalposts repeatedly. He has moved the goalposts like 9 times in this discussion. He just keeps moving it. Every time you have an answer, he just moves it. Now you've got to defend like vegans. We went from defend socialism to defend communism to defend Marxism to defend vegans. to now defending gay people who support not killing Palestinians.
Make any sense?
And look, I understand that's why people like Charlie Kirk, because he gets a lot of people to stutter. And I think that's I don't remember that guy's name. Was it JL or something that I debated? Like, we had 3 topics, and then he showed up. He's like, we're not debating any of those. We're going to debate race. And then he just kept asking me questions about shit I didn't know. And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, see, gotcha. I was like, yeah, it doesn't mean you win. Somebody not knowing a fact doesn't mean you win, but that's what Charlie Kirk does. The whole point of Charlie Kirk and all these right-wing debaters is to get people to stumble, to sound silly, or to say or to try and defend something they don't understand. My advice for anybody is, if you don't understand or if you don't know, just say that. Just say, I don't know, explain it to me, and then make them explain it to you. Because most of the time, they also can't explain it. Because their work was to try and get you in a gotcha. Just flip that. I don't know. Explain it to me. They can't. Most of the time, they can't. Let's see. I also wanted to show this clip from Melanie Stansbury real quick. If you have friends and family, if you have people that you care about in your life who rely on Social Security, I would recommend sending them this video. For years, Republicans have been saying that they are not going to go after Social Security. Let me give you an example of why they lied. They've absolutely been going after Social Security. They absolutely want to privatize it, but they know that they can't say that. They know that will lose them elections. Let me give you a perfect example of the hypocritical nature of the right. This here is Mike Lee. This is a senator from Utah. Biden, during his State of the Union, said that Republicans were trying to gut Social Security. And Mike Lee, just watch his face. And on the right, what you're going to hear is Mike Lee in a private donor meeting, not knowing the camera's on him, talk about ending Social Security. This video on the right was happening almost simultaneously. It was in the same year. They absolutely want to. They only do it behind closed doors. And so he knows the camera's on his face and he's going to throw a fit here. But watch, this is how they lie.
It will be my objective to phase out Social Security, to pull it up by the roots and get rid of it. Here, people who advise me politically always tell me that's dangerous, and I tell them, in that case, it's not worth my running. That's why I'm doing this, to get rid of that. Medicare and Medicaid are of the same sort and need to be pulled up.
Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, they're the same. We should get rid of all of them. My advisors tell me not to talk about it publicly, but I don't care. And then publicly, huh? Wait, what? We're not trying to do something, take away Social Security. What the fuck is this guy talking about? They're all lying to you. They want to privatize it. Here's an example of that.
Wired is reporting that the Social Security Administration plans to move all public communications to X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. A platform, by the way, only 9% of seniors say they've ever used in their life, while also slashing regional office staff by 90%. How are you thinking about talking about the real world impact of that on American seniors?
Well, I'm going to come to that in just a second, but I want to say, first of all, that the announcement that Musk is going to move communications to X should not only be raising alarms for our communities that they're not going to be able to access information, but it is quintessential grift. Why on earth does Elon Musk want to move eyeballs to his own social media platform? It's because he wants to make money off of it. And that's
bingo. And I think we've said this only 100 fucking times already, is that what capitalists hate more than anything is that the government can exist without them making a profit off of it. And so Elon wants to move communication into private areas where he can take some of that money from Social Security and put it in his own pockets. That's the reality. These people don't like that our government provides an opportunity for Americans to put their money in and capitalists don't get to take some of it. 9% of people on Social Security have Twitter. 9%. And they're saying, let's just get rid of phones. Let's get rid of the website. Let's do all of our everything through Twitter. By the way, Twitter gets hacked like every 12 seconds. So let's also have our communication about our Social Security be on Twitter servers, which clearly are not safe, which clearly get hacked all the fucking time. We told you they were going to privatize Social Security. That's what they want to do. It's 100% what they want to do. And the game that they play for you guys is they tell you that the government is so bad at running things that that private industry needs to run it. All the while, the reason Social Security isn't funded and isn't funded properly is because Republicans won't fund it. They won't raise the cap. They won't adjust for inflation. They just keep paying less and less and then saying, oh, look, it's not working now. Oh, the government is so bad, we better give it to our donors instead. They'll fix it. How is the private industry taking some of the money that we put into Social Security going to make it better? It's not. It's just absolutely not. What it's going to do is it's going to make it riskier because they're going to invest those funds in their own businesses, their friends' businesses. And guess what? When Social Security eventually when they make bad moves and they crush Social Security, what's going to happen? The government will bail them out because they'll say, oh, what are you going to do? Let all these seniors starve? They need the money. We have to bail them out. And then the government will bail them out. It's just a slush fund. They just don't like that the government exists and they don't get to make money off of it. And so now that's what they're doing. They are trying to privatize everything, and that will make everything worse.
That's exactly what the Trump administration is all about. And that is part of why Elon Musk's receipts don't add up, because this entire exercise has not been about rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. It's been about privatizing the federal government, dismantling agencies they don't agree with, and then giving themselves private contracts and privatizing public services. So, part of what Elon Musk has done inside the Social Security Administration is they've hacked your data. What are they doing with that data? Mm-hmm. They say they're using it to study the system. I don't think so. I think Elon Musk, who just signed a merger between his AI company and Twitter, is planning to use that data for his own financial purposes, just like he is with Treasury data and IRS data. He has helped to execute the firing of thousands of IRS employees. He's now talking about moving communications for Social Security to his platform. He's talking about...
Well, you guys all argue the same way. You wait for me to say a word. Slush fund like USAID? No, not at all like USAID. Has Elon showed us who's making money off USAID yet? No, he hasn't? Okay, until then, shut the fuck up.
About closing offices across the country. We have a Social Security office here in my district. And in fact, I'm planning to go down there tomorrow and meet with both the employees and the customers. And it's already difficult. All of us have seniors and elders in our life. If you're spending hours and hours on the phone and you've already experienced, your Social Security claim getting denied, that's literally the difference between somebody being on the streets and being able to eat or not. And so I think we really have to expose these guys for what they are, because this isn't just about giving billionaires more money. It's a cruel agenda to dismantle the fundamental framework that actually supports the people in our communities who need that help the most.
There's a stark difference between somebody like, it's Melanie Stansfield, right? It's Melanie, I think that's her name. Stansberry, excuse me, Melanie Stansberry. There's a stark difference between the messaging coming out of like Stansberry and the Republicans right now. These are the people that are fighting for Americans, for the people. And the Republicans here in the chat are fighting for Elon Musk. And that's a weird thing. That's a silly position to be in. That you would show up and be like, no, Elon deserves some of this money. Yeah, certainly Elon should be getting... How dare we have Social Security and Elon not get paid from it? Like, Elon has told you guys that USAID was used as a way for people to line their own pockets, so they get little kickbacks. Now, he hasn't ever been able to connect that to anybody in Washington. Not one person has been connected. And while he tells you that, and you rage about that, it's what he's doing to all of our programs. He's going through the federal government and finding ways to get government contracts so he can make money off of your tax dollars. A bureaucrat, a donor, a lobbyist, bureaucrat, donor is going through the government and picking and choosing contracts that he can make money from while telling you that other people are doing that, providing no evidence that anybody else is doing that, but he's doing it. And that leaves me with only one conclusion. You don't fucking care about USAID. You don't fucking care about people making money off the government and using it as a slush fund, because the only example we have of a bureaucrat who is using the government's money as a slush fund is Elon Musk. There is no evidence that has been able to link anybody else. And Elon Musk is doing it right in front of your face. You don't care about this. You are just told what to think, what to say, and what to do. But you cannot say that you care about this and also support Elon Musk making all of his money off of the back of the U.S. government. You can't. You want to say, USAID is a scam. I don't like it when you say mean things about Elon Musk. So I'm going to double down and I'm going to say the same thing. Yeah, you be honest, Jay. Give me one fucking name. Give me one name of somebody who's made $1 from USAID that's in the federal government. Who's he going to say? Chat, who's he going to say? Who's he about to say? This is how fucking predictable you are. Who's he about to say? Come on, Republicans, tell me. Who got money from USAID? Stacey, it was Stacey Abrams. What about Stacey Abrams? $0. She made $0 from USAID. You don't have any examples. This is why I'm like, honestly, I don't even hate you guys. I just think it's fucking ridiculous that you allow people to tell you something should bother you, and then you get mad about it, and then they do it. They do the thing that they told you to be mad about, and then you don't fucking care. Don't you care? You don't care that you just get played every day? Guys, the government is using money in a way to enrich themselves. Okay, who? Me. Oh, we don't care when you do it. It's fine when you do it. It's cool. We don't care if Elon does it. He already has money. It's not like he wants more money. The thing I know about rich people is they never want more money. He has all the money he could use, so it can't possibly be him. Like, you guys are the, like, cuckiest cuckities. 1,500 NGOs. Who? I asked who. Because remember, Elon said that this traces back to Washington, and we're going to lead people out in handcuffs. Okay, who? Who did you link it back to? Who's being let out in handcuffs? Because you don't have there's no name, but he did it. He's doing it right in front of your face. He took a contract that Verizon had won and just gave it to himself. He's getting contracts from the U.S. military now. I mean, it just it's crazy. If you care about something, care about it. But you can't just like ignore it. You can't only care when it's imaginary, and then when it's real, you don't care. That's why we've got a problem here. Let me read some comments. Oh, we're out of time. Oh man. All right, guys. Everybody send Jen nice messages because she might quit after today. I did not give people enough ammunition. Jen might quit today. Let me cover one or two more stories. I want to show this because Republicans are really starting to panic now about Trump's tariff policies. Remember that when early on in the Trump administration, I mean, I guess we're still early on, what a lot of these Republicans said is Trump, they'd be asked, like, why doesn't Trump understand what a tariff is? They're like, no, he understands. It's just a game. And you're like, isn't he going to start a trade war? And they're like, no. We know that this is a tax on the American people, but he's not really going to do it. He's just using it as a negotiating tactic. Well, now he's still doing it. He's getting killed in those negotiations. And here's how Republicans are responding.
If we end up having a recession or depression, just like any other election going back 250 some odd years, the party in power pays for it.
Politically, do you think if this goes on, this could be, what kind of impact does this have on the midterms, do you think?
Well, I mean, if the stock market were to crash and continue falling.
Thanks, Amy Lynn.
And we have a recession, that'd have a dramatic impact on the recession, on the midterms, and Trump fully understands that.
We are not using the majority. We are not capitalizing on the mandate that we received in November. And we're running out of time.
They're scrambling right now because they know what this means. Like I said, this first guy, I forget his name. He knows, like, you're in trouble. You're in trouble in the midterms. because this isn't going to work. Everybody knows this isn't going to work. By the way, this Stand with Israel flag is wild. That's wild. Does that have the American flag on it? It's like mixed together. That's weird. I don't know what the rest of this Ukrainian flag is. I hope it's not. That's weird. This guy is a lying. Go, Elon. Go. What a weird. That's weird. It is very weird that what you just said was, go, Elon. That's a weird thing to say. Go where? What's he doing? I don't know. I just don't like it when people say mean things about Elon. Go, Elon. I like you better than this guy. You say the things that make me happy. It's crazy. Thanks, Allie. Love you, Jen. Please don't hurt Jay today. Oh, it's coming. Harvard, I won't read the whole thing, but here's Harvard has responded to Trump. Basically, Trump has said, like, you got to do anti-DEI shit. You got to do what I say. You're going to have to work with us. You're going to have to give us information so that we can go arrest people who have the audacity to speak out against Israel. Harvard basically said, fuck you. This is America. We're supposed to have the right to free speech. We should be allowed to set our own policies. The government shouldn't dictate that. Good job, Harvard. And what would... If you're a dictator, how would you respond to somebody telling you, no, like, I like free speech? If you're a dictator and somebody says, no, we're going to allow free speech, how would you respond? Here's how Trump responded. Perhaps Harvard should lose its tax-exempt status and be taxed as a political entity if it keeps pushing political, ideological, and terrorist-inspired supporting sickness. I don't know what that means. By the way, like political entities, Super PAC, they're almost all nonprofits and they don't get taxed. I don't know what the fuck is he talking about. A political entity, a Super PAC, a political organization, Heritage Foundation, they're nonprofits, so they don't get taxed. Oh, yeah, well, how if Harvard doesn't like being taxed, what if we make them register as another organization that doesn't get taxed? Fucking genius over here. This guy, he knows. Guys, he just says dumb shit that doesn't make sense all the time because it's 4D chess. It's not because he's a moron. He just does it to own the libs. That's why he's doing it. Remember, tax-exempt status is totally contingent on acting in the public interest. No, it's not. Not acting in the public interest. It's not right. I don't think that the Mormon Church acts in the public's best interest. I don't think the Catholic Church acts in the public's best interest. I don't think the Heritage Foundation. This is fucking dangerous. This is Trump saying the public interest is whatever the fuck I say the public interest is. I am the public. It is my interest. If you do things that I don't like, you lose your tax-exempt status. How is this not a dictator? How is this not fascism? How is this not authoritarian? Are you guys like? I don't think you. I think you know I'm right. If we're being honest, I know that you don't agree. Like you might agree with Trump, and you and I, whoever it is, we all can disagree politically, but you all fucking know what this is. Every last one of you knows what the fuck this is. If you don't say the things I want you to say, you don't get any benefits. That's insane. It's insane that all you guys that put on we're patriots of what? You're fucking redcoats. That's who you are. Don't dump the king's tea into the harbor. Who is this Paul Revere man riding away on his horse with lanterns? How dare he warn the people that we are coming? Bow down for King George. You're not patriots. You're bootlicking bitches. There's nothing patriotic about you. You're here defending one guy. You're like, you know what I like better than America? Donald Trump. I know that our country's been held together by a constitution for 250 years now, but have we ever thought about just giving all of our power away to one guy? Yeah, we did. It's kind of how we started. It's kind of why we're here. It's kind of why we don't fly England's flag. It's kind of why we don't what's their anthem? Hell to the Queen or whatever. Yeah, we did this already. That's why we're here. And then you guys are like, we really should go back to an oligarchy. How if you don't say nice things about Donald Trump, you should be in jail. Jamie says, thanks for all you do, Jen. They're okay because it's their king. Good point. Yeah, exactly. Devin said for Jen, A lot of people advocating for me not to be hurt today. I don't think Jen's going to agree with you there. Nicholas said, was there a message with that? Thank you, Nicholas. Amanda says, sorry, times are tough, but don't want Jen to leave. Look, I get it. We understand times are tough, and we're not going to stop. We're really probably not going to stop showing up, but we understand times are tough for everybody. All right. I'll go a little late because it's going to be a long day, but I'll do it anyways.
There was a couple of Venmos. I don't know if you saw.
Oh, did you message them to me? Okay, let
Yeah.
me look. All right. Alyssa, thank you with the blue hearts. Brother Bob says, Jen, you're such an awesome person. Everybody loves you. Thanks for all you do, Brother Bob. Jen, do you want to respond to that? She doesn't. Amy, thanks for the gifted subs. I won't make Jen respond to that. She loves you too, Brother Bob. She can't say it out loud.
No, I'm here. I'm just not responding.
Oh, yeah, it's not happening. Let me see. Where is it? I want to show this. One of the things that I think is working, and I think it's driving conservatives nuts, is China is just like, fuck it, we're gonna tell all your secrets. Here, this is TikTok user Loose. Oh my God, is that Loose Anus? Is that his? I don't know. Either I'm mispronouncing this or he's funny. I don't know which. Either way, I'm sorry. LOUSANOUS. I think that's Loose Anus. I don't know. I'm sorry if that's his name, and I just don't know how to say it. But this video was really. Remember, I said like China's been decoupling from the United States for a while. This is what I'm talking about.
Keep this one short, so buckle up. You know how everybody's saying that they're so sure that these tariffs are going to destroy the Chinese economy? Let's take a look at whether or not that's reasonable. You know I love this website. This is the OEC website. Sorry,
one more thing. This administration has deported less and spent more than Biden did, and Biden did it legally. Yeah, good point, Amy Lynn.
Recent year for which there is data is 2023. In 2023, of the $3.42 trillion of the Chinese export market, 12.8% of that went to the United States. Now, if we page back by year, watch what happens to the United States share of Chinese exports. 12.8, 15.5, 16, 16.7, 16.9, 19.8, 20%, right? It's basically been it's decreasing year over year significantly, okay? That's important. Keep that in your mind. The most recent year for which we have data is 2023, okay? So you can probably reasonably expect that 2024, when those numbers come in, they're going to come in less than 12.8%. But we're going to use 12.8% in a later calculation because we don't have a better number than that. What percent of Chinese GDP totally is in all of their exports? Just 18.9%.
So that means, just to be clear, when Donald Trump talks about China, when Donald Trump talks about leverage, we make up 12% of exports, which makes up 20%, less than 20% of their GDP. So if they lose us, they lose 12% of 20%. Donald Trump wants you to believe that this is significant, that he has power here, that he has leverage here. He doesn't. And by the way, I think China has been waiting for this. This is China's way of decoupling from us and going to other countries who don't want to do trade with us anymore because Trump's a fucking lunatic that just slaps tariffs on them for no fucking reason. And China gets to go to them and say, want to deal with the sane person? Even most of the brands that we have that we think are good, like Nike, made in China, Adidas, made in China. I'll show you those in a minute. Even a lot of the stuff that we export was actually just made in China. And if people don't want to do trade with America anymore, like the Nike brand, dead. Adidas, dead. These brands die if they can't make their shoes and if people hate America. We've got a real problem here. You can blame China all you want, and Republicans love to blame China, but this is Trump's doing. Trump is causing this, accelerating this decoupling. And by the way, if he has a master plan, let's just say he wants us to decouple from China. Then the plan is to create cheap goods and undersell China, which means we're going to have to figure out how to get some slave labor, which is why I think these El Salvadorian prisons are kind of the goal here. We can get some slave labor down there.
Just so you know, there's no funny business. 18.9% times 0.128, 12.8%, 2.419%. There you have it.
That's us, 2.4%.
The total share of the Chinese economy that is reliant on exporting to the United States is less than half of what they grow by every single year. Do you think this is going to destroy the Chinese economy if their GDP growth just halves? And that's assuming they don't find new markets and new buyers for all of those products that were going to the United States elsewhere in the world. Because you can be damn sure that other people in the world like consuming things too.
Let me tell you one other thing about China that the rest of the world sees. China doesn't go to war. We've been told our whole lives to be afraid of China. China has built up their military because we have our military. But China isn't involved in everybody else's shit. China isn't as involved in going out and doing regime change wars. China is usually pretty reluctant to engage. They do sometimes. I know we've had some. There were some allegedly. I don't know. I never saw it confirmed. Some Chinese soldiers that were arrested or caught in Ukraine. I don't know if that story was true or not. But the rest of the world doesn't look at us like you think they do. We're not respected. We're just the bully. They look at us like the bully. That's it. And if they have an opportunity to stick it to the bully, they're all going to. The problem we have right now is not only is China prepared for this in a way that we're not, but they have people have better opinions of China than they do of us. We are introducing, like, we talk about slave labor all the time. That's like the criticism of China. We have it here too. And every other country knows that we have it here too. We put people in prisons and we make them work for basically no wages. That happens here. And yet that's the thing that Republicans tell most of the time. Oh, look at China. Yeah, we do it too. And we're going to have to do a hell of a lot more of it if we're going to keep up, if we're going to try and like steal their manufacturing. Because they've automated a lot of it. They have advanced robotics. We're not even close. We are so far behind. We are so fucking far behind China. And everything that we tried to do in the last 4 years with the Chips and Science Act in order to, one, normalize trade with China, and two, work together to try and build this up, all of that is being undone because Donald Trump is such an egomaniac that anything with Biden's name attached to it, he just cancels, just on a whim. And the only reason he has this power is because you guys let him keep doing it. I want to, real quick, Trump then announced a bunch of tariffs on goods. Here's all the tariffs that his administration put out. These were going to be the exemptions. And then for some reason he came out and said he didn't put these exemptions out there. He did that because he lies to you and you guys only listen to him and you don't look at what they put out. So he's saying that so that he doesn't look like he got beat. But I do just want to show a couple more things. I appreciate the Chinese who are just like calling it now. Like they were ready for this. China has I don't like their lack of free speech. They seem to have loosened their free speech rules. A lot of this stuff was, by the way, censored, and they didn't allow it up because it would hurt their trade negotiations and their business relationships with American companies. But now that America's saying fuck you, China's like, all right, well, fuck you then. We'll just tell all the secrets. And I'm going to play 3 videos, then we'll get out of here, of China just spilling the beans on all these American companies.
There's little evidence of a trade war at the Jiahao Flag Company in Anhui Province. Workers bustle and sewing machines hum. A current hot seller, blue and white banners declaring the centerpiece of Trump's re-election campaign.
What I'm making here now is the Trump banner. I know that he's the U.S. president. Every day we must produce over 1,000 of this. We already made so many batches of them.
The banners highlight a paradox in China-U.S. relations under the current Trump administration.
Oops, muted. Oh, mute hit. Look at all those flags just lying on the ground. All this dumb shit you guys buy. Remember David from TikTok? Remember all the dumb shit he bought all made in China? You guys are keeping their economy afloat.
At about $1 a piece, even the suppliers to the Trump campaign can't resist the low price. The factory also made banners for his 2016 campaign and said its business has been great since then.
Buy American and hire American.
Trump has long railed against Chinese imports and launched a controversial trade.
Even they're rooting for Trump. They're not rooting for Trump. They're just taking his money.
Strategy this year to punish Beijing.
That was crazy. That was fucking crazy that you said that. Who said that? Brandon Kittle. That's fucking crazy. They're rooting for him. They would not make that flag for him if they weren't rooting for him. Yes, they would.
Yet his move is merely making America more expensive. The U.S. Department of Commerce said flax and other textile products will be subject to a 10% levy.
Thanks,
One
Amy.
seller said that would be enough to double the price of a Make America Great Again hat to $20 a pop. And his hardline stance towards China could eventually repel suppliers like the Jiahao Flag Company.
All right, we got it there. Jose said, can we please give MAGA orange Schwartzes already? I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means, Jose. I'm sorry. I'm dense on those things sometimes. All right, two more. Here's China exposing American companies. This one is brutal. So one of the things I saw too, I'm not going to show it here because I'm not sure the legality there, but there's like a bunch of people on TikTok, and I've seen it mostly on Twitter, explaining how you can get like American goods, the same stuff you get in the stores for dirt cheap through like directly buying from China. But here was, I don't know who this was, exposing what the luxury brands are doing and how they claim that things are made in Italy or made in America, and they're just made in China.
I will tell you 30 luxury brands. Some of their products are made in China. Ralph Lauren, Armani, Nike, Dior, Lululemon.
Sorry about that volume. Every clip's a little bit different, so I try and adjust them in real time. Sorry.
Apple, Michael Kors, Coach, Calvin Klein, Prada, Balmain, Swarovski, Adidas, The North Face, Rimowa, Levi's, Burberry, Versace, Chanel, Cartier, Ferragamo, Timberland, Yves Saint Laurent, Victoria's Secret, Puma, Uniqlo, Disney, Max Mara, Givenchy. The producing cost is only 1/10 of its price. Can you believe it? Follow Helen, your business advisor in China.
10% of the price. That means then they mark it up. They slap a different label on it. They say it's made in Italy. It's made in China. Here's China spilling more of the tea.
As there's a tag saying made in China. Some say as long as there's a tag saying made in China, the bag can never be luxury. However, in fact, more than 80% of the luxury bags in the world are made in China. But those luxury brands just won't acknowledge that. They take almost finished bags from China factories back to their own factories and just do the repackaging and logo installing, something like that. That way, the bags will appear at their boutiques as made in Italy or made in France. You know, those sophisticated European countries, which make you feel mysterious, royal, and thus luxury. Now, close your eyes. Let's just do a little, very easy experiment in your head, okay? Imagine that you have an Hermes bag, and suddenly the label on it changed from made in France into made in China, while everything else, like leathers, zippers, and hardware, remain the same. Do you suddenly feel that your bag is not as luxury as before? If you do, that means you have been misled and poisoned by the market campaign of those luxury brands for too long. Welcome to the real world. Now you see, those bags are made in China by our intelligent and diligent Chinese artisans. Let's not be poisoned and misled by the market campaign any longer and be a real person. Buy a bag from us, from our factory in China. See the real world for yourself.
And that's what they're exposing here is the dangers of unregulated capitalism. And the reason that, like, for example, the Chinese the yen might not, or let's just say that you don't have to pay people in China as much money to live, and it's cheaper to live in China because you can make something and then the American brand sells it for 10x what it costs to make. And that drives that. That's why we have inflation. That's why things in America are so expensive. We don't do the work, and none of the people that do the work. This is the problem with unregulated capitalism and this idea of like free market capitalism that really is just crony capitalism. The people who do the work don't make the money. The people who don't do the work make all the money because they put the connections together. We incentivize the wrong behavior here. In America, if you want to get rich, there's one way to do it, like as rich as possible. It's to consolidate labor and in a way where you make most of the profit, even if you don't do the labor. That's why so many people now are like, you have so many more people now talking like, socialism could work. Like I'm more interested in socialism. And what China did is China has a lot of very strong social programs, and they limited capitalism. They limit it. But it keeps the cost of goods, it keeps the price of living lower. And all these folks in China, they have access to good education, they have access to good health care, they have access to public transportation, they don't have to buy cars. There's a lot more options that they have that we don't. Yes, China's not perfect. Yes, there are problems with freedom in China. But ultimately, the way that they are choosing to run their country is more beneficial. I'm going to close on this video. It's funny, but it's also very, very true. Back. So I wanted to close this, and I just want to show, like, I don't know what these folks would say. I think everybody can recognize that their parts of their country don't operate correctly. So here in America too, there's things we do better than China. But this dude, Budo Wang, lays it out perfectly, and then we'll end.
I don't want to criticize my own government. My government doing a fantastic job compared to your government. Imagine my government is my boyfriend. Your government is your boyfriend. My boyfriend is rich, being responsible, and do me good in bed. And your government, poor, steal your money, gaslighting you with fake democracy, fake freedom. Meanwhile, I'm here, and you're there. Oh, I just love the way he lied to me. Also, your boyfriend having golden shower with his master behind your back. Guess who his master? Criticize.
Yeah, there it was. Oh, here. Wait, I forgot the end. Sorry, I forgot he cut it there.
Criticize your own government, boy. No, Maga, I don't want to criticize my own government.
There we go. That's how they do the loop. Yeah. Everybody in the world is looking at us mockingly. They're like, Jesus Christ, how do you like? You know when you look across, you see Orban, you see Putin, you see all these dictators, and you're like, how did it get there? Why are people just sitting there? Because of apathy. Because of MAGA. Both A's in MAGA just must stand for apathy. You guys don't care. You just want to win elections, which is a bizarre thing to do because it hasn't made your life better and it won't make your life better. But you're just happy that you won. That's why you show up every day and go, cry more, we won, Trump 2028. That's why 3.5 hours a day, 4 hours. We're going on 4 hours a day. Not one of you wants to debate any of this. You know. And I think that like over time there will be less and less of you. I think there's less and less of you now showing up every day. There will be less and less of you because you're running out of ways to defend this. We're fucked right now. If we don't course correct like very soon, we're fucked for a while. And it's going to be China who benefits from it. If you hate China, if you don't want China to be a world power, you might want to start thinking about getting rid of Donald Trump because nobody's happier. Nobody's happier than China right now that Donald Trump is president. Because goddamn is he making them look good. There's how many people do you think would leave tomorrow? I saw somebody actually mention this earlier. If Donald Trump tomorrow came out with a new program and said, you can sell your citizenship for $5 million. We'll give you $5 million. You can sell your citizenship, but you have to leave in a week. Maybe hundreds of millions of people would leave. Certainly would be tens of millions. I'm gone tomorrow. If that happened. If somebody wants to give me $5 million to leave, do you know how many countries I would choose to live in before here? It's a long fucking list. It's Canada. It's Mexico. It's China. It's India. It's anywhere in Europe. It's a very, very long list. It's Japan. It's Australia. It's New Zealand. The list is very, very long of places that I would go before I would want to live here. And I would just ask yourself, MAGA, why do you want to live here? Besides Donald Trump, what is better about America than anywhere else? What's one thing in America that we do better than someplace else that makes it worth living here? What do we have that other countries don't have? I don't want to hear freedom. Other countries have freedom. Most sovereign countries have freedom. Guns? Is that it? Just like guns? Like you're here for guns? By the way, if we all left, you guys are fucked. If we all leave, you guys are fucked. If the people that don't like Donald Trump leave this country, say goodbye to capital. Say goodbye to education. Have fun. You guys would fall apart almost immediately. Freedom of speech. You know how many countries have freedom of speech? All of Europe has freedom of speech. Mexico has freedom of speech. Canada has freedom of speech. Japan has freedom of speech. Australia has freedom of speech. New Zealand has freedom of speech. There's nothing. The only things left that America has is like we believe in angels and we lock people up and we have lots of guns. Those legitimately are like the only places we're better than other countries now. And I could give a fuck about any of those. I don't care about any of that. Yeah, there is only one way to Republicans. You really want to get rid of us? Start a movement. Start a movement to offer us $5 million to sell our citizenship. You want to get rid of us? Give us the offer. We're gone tomorrow. We're gone fucking tomorrow. $5 million, I'd never have to work again in my life. I could, with $5 million, I could move to Mexico and never work again. I'm in. You ever, if I ever leave, if I ever just disappear one day, a good chance somehow I got access to $5 million and I'm out. That's what happened. Just go. I can't go. I can't just go. I don't have the money to go. Because I live in fucking America where everything's so goddamn expensive. I live in America where I went and I bought the shittiest car I possibly could, and it still cost me $250 every single month to insure it. I live in America where if I break my leg, I might have to like sell my house. That's the problem with capitalism. It actually traps you. People would leave America if they could. We can't leave. We don't have the ability to leave. Nobody would people if you had like an outsider, like let's just a world reset and we're like, you can go to America, here's what happens in America. People wouldn't be moving here. Criminals move here. Venture capitalists move here. And they'd probably, I mean, those red states, God, they love you. They would love you. You guys just do whatever you're told. They show up, they're like, hey, you guys are working here now. Okay, let's go here. But you're out of your fucking mind if you don't think that most of us would leave. Raise your hand if you would leave tomorrow for $5 million. Communism. If you don't jack off to America, you're a communist. None of the countries I've mentioned that I would go to are communists. You're just fucking dumb. Look at all these hands. We're out tomorrow. Tomorrow. And you guys can make all the jokes like, don't you guys have jobs? If all the liberals left, you guys would be fucked. Fucked. This country doesn't survive without LA, without New York, without San Francisco, without Dallas, without Houston, without Pittsburgh, without Philadelphia, without what are the bigger cities? Which ones have I missed so far? Where did I miss? You guys without Seattle, Salt Lake City, Phoenix. Look at the most liberal area in your state. Wherever you live, the most liberal area in your state, that's who's paying all your fucking bills. So if we leave, you guys are toast. Which is fine. Enjoy it. All right, everybody. I'll be back tonight at some point. Jen, what time are we live tonight on TikTok?
5:45.
5:45.
Did you read the last our chat? There was other.
Let me go there real
messages.
quick. Guys,
5:45.
Oh, go ahead.
5:45 on Admir's live on TikTok. If you're in the Discord, there's an announcement, and we should be streaming it to YouTube and Twitch as well.
Gotcha. All right, 5:45. Guy said he spit in your face. Supreme Court. Amy Lynn said over 90% of Chinese own their homes and pay no taxes when they retire. And Dirty Dude said, I think Trump is working for China. You could make the case. You could make the case that he's like trying to fuck everything up in America so China becomes the world power. If he's not, then God bless him. They love that guy. Misinformation at its finest. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we'll be back.
States are the dependents and have the most welfare per capita. And then thanks, Charles.
Thank you, Charles. I saw those just came in. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning. If you missed the debates tonight, the replay will be there. The replay of today's live is also available on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe so when we go live, you get notifications. Other than that, like I said, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time right here on YouTube every single day. Thank you guys again so much for the support, for all of our subscribers. One of these days I'm going to figure out how to list those out. But thank you guys for being here every day, for supporting us financially, emotionally, and with your eyes. Couldn't do it without all of you. And every day blows my mind that I get to do this for a job. So thank you very much. I missed you all this weekend. Hopefully the later shows will make up for it, and I'll be on my best behavior tonight for debates. Take care of yourselves, stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.